What is up, guys? Andy here from Biohazard Declassified. I trust you're all doing well on this fantastic Saturday evening. And welcome to today's edition of the Biohazard Declassified podcast. We are joined with fellow Biohazard Declassified members, Nick and Derrick. So if we start off with you, Nick, introduce yourself to Biohazard Declassified, the podcast, and what you do around here for us.
Yeah, sure. So I am one of the few Twitch streamers that we have. I haven't been as active lately, but I did start working for them. I was semi-active in the Resident Evil cosplay community. There's a good chance that you've seen Resident Evil post my cosplays a couple of times. I think there's at least twice that they've done it. A big Barry Barton cosplay, as you can tell by the sweet beard. So I do Twitch streaming. I provide information as you will hear today. Just an overall super fan, just like everyone watching today.
And of course, last but not least, yourself, Derrick.
I'm Derrick, our master of writing over at the website. Most of the articles are going to be either by me or Jesse, or occasionally Andy. And I am also one of our, part-time streamers. Occasionally, I'll do a stream of either like Resident Evil, or just recently I did Daymare, started that. But as time goes on, hopefully I'll be doing more than just that. I already have a Leon cosplay sitting in the back room, so
we'll have to get a Biohazard cosplay picture one day.
Of course.
Oh, definitely. When this all dies down, it is obviously my promise to you guys that we will all get together, and whether it be over here or over in America at some Comic Con, and we will certainly make it all happen.
Oh, 100%.
We got to get a panel is what we need.
I remember when JJ was at Resident Evil was posting about we got a panel, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, when do we get one of them?
That's it. And of course, we're going to start off with some big news, and that is the fallout from the PS5 reveal. And obviously, this is the first massive talking point, and that was that Resident Evil 8 officially got announced for the PlayStation 5. It won't be on current gen platforms, what I understand, but it will be on next gen platforms. So PS5, Xbox Series X, and the PC. So what we're going to do first, guys, we're going to watch the trailer just to refresh everybody's memory, and we will start talking about it.
Move into a company where there's like
Long ago, a young girl went with her mother to pick berries for her father, who was hard at work. But the forest greeted them with a dark, cold silence. The bushes empty. Yet determined to find the berries, the rascal broke free of Mother's grasp and vanished into the trees. Mother's worried cries faded fast as the girl ran on, over vine, under branch, and into the forest deep.
What is it with that creepy story?
It's just a local tale.
You're really into that stuff?
Quit being so paranoid.
No! Friendly. Who are you? Who sent you? What's going on? They're coming. Who is? Chris? Sorry, Ethan. Why?
PlayStation.
Okay, so
All right.
that was the Resident Evil 8 trailer. So I will, I'll hand it over to. If we start off with Nick, I'll hand it over to you. What was your initial impressions of the Resident Evil 8? The initial impressions of the Resident Evil 8 trailer, and yeah, a little bit of your thoughts, really.
So every time they release a trailer for a Resident Evil game, I am left with more questions than answers. And I've noticed this with the last couple of titles, even with some of the remakes, because like you don't know what direction they're going to go with the remakes. So like I can say the same with 8. You know, they show all of this content, they show these characters like that you don't know, and you just immediately go, okay, well, how are they going to be integrated into the story? Because you look at 7, when they showed the release trailer for 7, everyone was like, what is this? This looks creepy, but it doesn't look like what we expect from a Resident Evil game. And I can almost say the same with this. Is you look at the trailer and like they're very clearly stepping more out of the like zombie like enemies, you know, maybe some BOWs. Like it almost looks like, I don't want to say that they're necessarily going supernatural, and we can talk about that in a minute, but just they're very clearly trying to be innovative with what they're doing now, because they want to keep it fresh. They want people to keep playing these games because they know it's going to be something new, it's going to be something fresh. And you know, I'm just watching the trailer for the first time. I just went, I don't know what I just watched. You know, like Chris Redfield, he's the good guy. He's been the good guy for what are we at now? You know, 25 years, something like that.
Yeah,
20,
almost
25 years, 23.
I want to say that.
So I want to say we're coming up on the 25th anniversary next
Yeah,
year.
because I'm when the first one was 96.
Yeah, so that'd be 25 would be 25 next year.
Yeah, I was 2. So it's like the 23rd, 24th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's so much speculation with what's going on and why Chris is, you know, bitter and angry, and like I don't know if like it almost like the issue that I kind of have with it is like they need to have a little bit of a good reason, because they did that already. If with anyone who's watched the movies, you've seen this kind of like, or even the last game 6, you've seen this kind of like Chris turning like his demeanor has become, instead of this like, oh my god, like zombies, I'm the good guy, to this like very slowly becoming more of like this darker character. And like I'm almost curious as to if like, you know, just based on his entire career, maybe he just snapped, and like, you know, who knows what happened that sets him on this path of like destroy Ethan's life, you know.
Not to cut in during like your part or whatever, but like I mean, I think it was Vendetta, the movie. In the end of it, he says as more and more, I'm thinking if it's all worth fighting for, and I'm wondering if that question kind of became like,
I think
like
he even said that in one of the trailers for 5, if I remember correctly, because 5 was one that like I was probably a freshman in high school when that game came out, and I remember religiously watching the trailer. Like same thing, you watch the trailer for 5 and you have no idea what's going on, and you're just like, you know, it leaves you with more questions than answers.
Right.
Oh, indeed. What about you? What about you, Derrick? What was your initial thoughts about Resident Evil 8? The characters, the overall direction that they're going in.
I'm pretty happy with it. I guess that's kind of like I'm going to be like the token like millennial of our group for a second and say that like I've never felt like Resident Evil was about the zombies. Like I'll admit that my first one was probably 4, but then I went back and played the other ones, and I love them. Like, don't get me wrong, they're great games, but I never felt like Resident Evil had to be like zombies was what made Resident Evil. I felt like the virus is what made Resident Evil.
Right,
like,
right. And
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I wanted to interject real quick and just say, like, I agree. I 100% agree. Is obviously zombies were the product of that specific virus. The T virus,
Right.
whatever variation, T Veronica virus. Like, but I like that they went in that direction. Come 4 of like, well, other viruses don't necessarily need to make zombie enemies. Like you see it with the T Abyss virus. You saw it with the Fear virus, whatever it was from Revelations 2. Like they were like zombie-like, but they weren't like classic zombies,
Right. Yeah, and like I guess like it kind of like shows with the changing of the times as like kind of how I've always looked at it. Because yeah, back when like the original came out, everyone was like big. Like viruses and like anthrax and shit like that. Like the Cold War just ended. Sorry, my cat is doing her thing, but
special guest appearance.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
She's right here, and so she'll show up in a second here. But I think it just kind of shows the changing of the times because like like Resident Evil 4 came out and it was not about just a virus; it was about parasite, but it was still like this a parasite rather, but it was still the same kind of thing where it was like this parasite does this one thing. To certain people, there she goes. But it doesn't do that to everything. Like think about yes. If you think about like let's just go like with the dogs, right? Like the dogs become almost like the humans where they're angry, but then the dogs also can like split down their back and like have these tentacles and shit. Like it was never about like, oh, this thing does this one thing, there's zombies. But because like the most interesting parts and most memorable parts of Resident Evil always are not the zombies. The zombies are just there. Like that's why like I felt 7 was so close to the original was because there's the molded, yeah, and they're generic, but they're kind of just supposed to be. They're just there as like a filler because like the most interesting enemies are almost always there. Jack, Marguerite, Lucas not so much because he's just kind of like behind the chair kind of thing.
Yeah, and
I'm getting that kind of feel with 8 again, where like the Wolfman, the witches, like they're like the focal point, and then maybe the villagers would be like your generic like Resident Evil 4 villagers. And I love it. Of course, I'm also a sucker for gothic horror.
I would also almost be curious, like I wonder if this village, like if you're gonna meet more people than you expect to, because I wonder if it's like one of those situations where like the village necessarily hasn't been infected, but it looks like these, I don't even know what to call them, but these like wolfmen, werewolf like liquor creatures. I wonder if they're kind of plaguing the town.
Right,
and
like the town is normal, but
right,
surrounded by this stuff.
Like I can almost also see the molded coming back too. Just from what I've heard and from what it sounds like is it's wherever this place in Romania is. I'm assuming it's Romania, considering there's Romanian currency. It seems this is where, based on like early rumors and stuff, this is where Evelyn was created. This is the area. Like I would almost expect to see the molded back as enemies.
I think if they were to bring the molded back, I think it'd be like late game. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like, wonder why this is happening. Like most of the game. And
I have this weird feeling that it's gonna be a departure from the game in the sense that like you may have to fight these werewolf enemies sometimes, or you may have to fight like bigger enemies sometimes, and it's not going to be as much of a focus on like there's a room with 6 enemies in it, kill the 6 enemies. It's going to be like, no, you're going to be like running from them, or you're gonna like they're gonna do something different.
Especially like the first look on the Wolfman is like I'm not fighting that. You can go to hell. Like I'm going that way, right? Like it's very clear. Like it's kind of like Jack, where like when you first fight Jack, you're like, oh, maybe I can fight him, and then he tanks a shotgun shot to the head a couple times, and you say, no, maybe I can't. So right. I feel like it's going to be kind of like that, where it's like. I feel like the introduction, we probably saw the introduction of the Wolfman because Ethan seems pretty confused with that old man.
Right.
And I think that's going to be like the establishing moment of like, do not fuck with this thing.
Right,
Leave.
and I can see you being able to kill them. I don't think they're necessarily going to be like Jack Baker or Mr. X type enemies. But I can see them being a lot harder than fighting like a T-virus zombie or like molded or a Plagas or something like that. Like I think it'll be a lot harder to kill them. Probably takes more ammo to kill them. They're probably a lot faster and stronger than anything we fought before. And I think they do that on purpose because I would almost guess that the main point is to run away from them if necessary, you know.
And I think one of the main points too is just to be different from their last stuff. You know, like I know that that's not necessarily always the best thing. People don't always want it to be different, but I think that Resident Evil's always been good at like reinventing itself.
Right. I think, and what I'm happy with Capcom about is they seem to now understand to put the more of a horror focus in these games, because for a while they weren't. And, you know, I think they were going, oh, well, they want zombies, so we'll put zombies in the game. But then they made it very actiony.
Yeah.
Like you look at Operation Raccoon City, you look at Resident Evil 6, you know, while like they had the zombies in it, the T-virus, C-virus zombies or whatever, you never felt that like, oh my God, I'm in danger. You were always just like, cool, I've got 2 handguns. Like, let me just...
That's kind of like one of the things I always talk about when it comes to horror games is like the difference between like fear and like panic, right? Like, like I'll admit that like Nemesis has a bit of both, but like the constant fear of like, if I turn this corner, there might be a zombie, as opposed to like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. You know, like that's not horror to me. Panic is not horror. Panic is action, like with the horror, like
with the horror, exactly.
And so like I feel like 6 was a lot of like panic. Like it was a lot of like, you're surrounded by zombies. Oh,
but
no.
even
like,
then, with those games, you had a partner, which made it a lot less tense. It would be one thing if 6 was like you're playing on your own and you're in a situation where there are a lot of zombies, but you're by yourself. It's a little different when like you're playing as Leon and Helena, and then like you're fine because you're like, cool, well, I ran out of shotgun ammo, but I have a shit ton of handgun ammo, and this girl's got a shit ton of sniper rifle ammo or whatever, so we're fine. Like we'll just clear them out real quick. Which is why I think 4 was as popular as it was as well, because on top of the setting, there was no help. You were on your own. You were doing this by yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's probably weird to say this specifically because I've also been like, bad controls don't make a game better. Like, you know, like this is another thing that like I'm so divisive in our group. I realize, not like our group specifically, but like in the Resident Evil fandom, I'm
community,
like one of the most, I'm probably one of the most divisive members of our group. But like tank controls are fine, but they didn't make it more scary. They made it more frustrating. You know what I mean? Like controls aren't what make it scary.
Yeah,
but that being said, I think the controls in 4 and 5 aided it in being scary, and that it wasn't like in 6 you could move and shoot. Like that was like one of the first things that they showed in the trailer. They're like, you can move and shoot now, and it's like, I'm not even scared anymore.
It took away from that suspense.
There was like a whole strategy.
You know, they had actually they had done that with Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis was the first one where you could, like I think survival horror game, at least from Capcom, where you could aim and move and shoot. But that was a same thing, fixed camera angle. The thing that made that scary was obviously like, you're not fighting these slow zombies, you're fighting dinosaurs.
Yeah, fast as shit.
And the setting, you're in this like dark setting, everyone's dead, things are ripped apart. Like it's a very like the vibe, and I think that's another big part of like these kinds of games is the area that you're in going to make me uneasy. And I think I got a lot of that from the Resident Evil 8 trailer, just based on like, you know, you're in a dark forest, you're walking around with a flashlight, and apparently like the flashlight looks like it's going to be a big part of the game. You're going to be in a lot of dark, dim areas that are going to require a flashlight, and I'm sure that's going to probably play a big part with a lot of jump scares, and which not necessarily looking forward to, but you know.
Something
Yeah.
I wanted to, just before we get into nitty gritty, we break down the trailer, everything like that.
Mhm.
Something I wanted to talk about was the leaks that occurred, and I actually did speak about the podcast before, on the podcast beforehand, about the leaks and about what was anticipated to be in the new Resident Evil 8, and with a massive shit-eating grin on my face, by God, was we right?
Yeah,
So,
I don't know
I think
that we
there's
can-
a couple people that owe us an apology.
If we will-
Won't name names, but
Yeah, right.
this article, just sorry to cut you off there, Derek.
No,
This
go ahead.
article was uploaded in February, and it had an absolute fucking werewolf on it.
That's right. Yeah.
right.
Because we talked about the Wolfman, and then that German YouTuber picked it up, and I remember that now.
Mm.
Yeah, and it was like a lot of like what we saw in the trailer. It was a snowy village. There's werewolf type creatures and like all this stuff. Like, I don't know necessarily we should talk anything about the leaking because that's becomes a whole thing. But well, my thing is like, there's points of connection, right? Like if we even a little bit out, it's possible that like it becomes a whole thing, right? Like
right, and
that's just my opinion though. I'm not, I wasn't the one connected through any of that. I was just like being handed the information for write-ups and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, we could talk about it a little bit. I don't know what's kosher to talk about, what's safe to talk about. Obviously, like anything that's big and spoilery, I would advise keeping away from, even if it's not true. Because I've noticed like a lot of the more recent rumors and stuff that we've heard about, a lot of it is now being backpedaled on. Like certain things like, oh, that girl's name is Emily and this and that and the baby's deformed. Like a lot of that stuff's being backpedaled on now where they're like, no, that's not true. And that happens with a lot of these Resident Evil games is I feel like a lot of rumors come out and a lot of it's true, but then a lot of it is also just like false information or old information, like things, at Capcom might have changed and that like certain things may be a certain way at first and then they're not all of a sudden. And in the terms of Resident Evil 8, I had a very credible source with a lot of this early information. So it was hilarious to me when people were sitting there going, well, that's ridiculous. This is fake. This is fake. And I'm just sitting there going, no, it's not. Right, and you guys are gonna hate yourself when
large YouTubers, large, very credible YouTubers in the Resident Evil community.
Again, won't name names for the sake
of
remain
nameless, of course, but
keep the world civil. And I'm not trying to start any inter-Resident Evil beef. Like, oh my god. Biohazard Declassified versus this person or this person. Like we're at the end of the day we're all a community that enjoys the same thing, and I'm not here to start any problems with anyone just because I want to
It was me.
Yeah, right. It was me, guys. Sorry.
The funny thing is like on our end of this chat, by the way, like for the live comments, we don't get any names. It's just Facebook users. So this could literally be one person saying all this, but like it could have been 4 different people saying it was me. I did it. All my fault.
Right.
Also, I just noticed. Yes, you should smack your guy. I just realized that's what it's. You're asking if you should.
I would highly recommend if you've got another tab open, get the actual feed on. For whatever reason, our software it detects it as Facebook user, but it's actually other people
we should pull up the actual stream going on currently.
Up to you, of course. I mean, obviously, we'll do a bit of a Q&A at the end and like go through some comments that you guys have said before we shut out. But yeah, I mean. From our point of view, from the like Biohazard Declassified point of view, obviously we're very, very happy that what the information that we was given was credible, it was vetted, and it turned out to be true. So obviously we're really grateful for that. And being one of the first people to the podium, on the news was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it was awesome stuff.
It also is nice that we can just kind of that now weeds out a lot, right? Like it's I guess it's like weird to this is kind of like an admin side of everything, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Is it like we get so many, like, and this is not just like a joke, there's so many leaks out there, right? Like there's a lot of people who claim to be leaking this or claim to be leaking that, and it's like this kind of thing where we're like, okay, this one feels strongest. I think Jesse put it best, is that this one was so off the wall, like, right, like it's like one of those rumors that like people said, in fairness, it does sound stupid, right? Like,
yeah,
like, this doesn't sound like a Resident Evil game, and which is fine. Like I said, like Resident Evil wasn't always about the zombies, but I get what they're saying. Like that's why that one felt the strongest to us, is because we're like that. Why would someone make that up? What do you gain out of that? Like making such a bullshit like leak, and then like it's nothing like Resident Evil.
Right.
What do you gain out of that?
Sounds, right? It sounds too fake to be fake.
Right, exactly. And like that's the kind of thing, like we picked that one and we bet right in this case, but that also now shakes out like the sieve, you know, like it shakes out a lot of the stuff that isn't going to work. Like people that we like leakers and stuff that we're like maybe not so much, right? Like we now can start, especially as we're like growing as like I guess like a company. Like I said, this is kind of like an admin end, but like as we're growing now, we can start like narrowing down where we want to stick with our information, like who and what we can trust, and I think that's priceless on its own. You know what I mean? Like that's something as like a group that like we couldn't have asked for better. And like I said, we kind of it was kind of a bet. Like we had some pretty, like you said, Nick, it was pretty strong information, and we had no reason to believe it wasn't going to be legit. But
so Capcom had actually. I don't know if this was for the ambassador program or just actually it might have been like early ambassador program stuff. They had sent out an email basically offering beta testing for a quote unquote upcoming project that they were working on. And you know, they had different locations that they were doing it. So there was one in New York, there was one in California, I believe, or two in California. LA. Yeah, somewhere in LA, and then like one in Germany and one in like the UK or something like that. Like they were all, or Japan, and they were basically, I think, inviting about 12 to 16 people. You know, anyone could sign up. You would just have to choose a specific location. They would invite these people to come to a test site and try this, you know, quote unquote, you know, new project that they were working on. And if I had to guess, it was probably an early version of Resident Evil 8. Now, this was talked about. Someone had emailed Jesse, I believe, months ago. This was probably back in, you know, January or December or something like that. And basically, I think that's where we got this information from originally. It was someone had came to us and was basically like, hey, I was chosen to play this game. You know, yeah, we have no idea who this person is. It remained totally anonymous. And they were just like, look, here's what I experienced. You know, do what you will with this information. And yeah, that's basically I think where the leak originally came from.
Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, at the time of that ambassador program thing, we had hypothesized, given the size of the groups and what we knew about at the time, we had found like that thing about that, like, outbreakers, which turned out to be resistance.
Oh yeah.
So we had hypothesized, well, 4 in a group, and then maybe one of the masterminds, just like someone over at Capcom. We had hypothesized it was going to be outbreakers that was being played, because it was like 16. It was like 4 groups of 4. Like they specified that it was going to be groups of 4, and then after they played it, everyone was going to talk about it.
Right.
And that was all they said to the ambassador program. And I should note that none of us were even selected for the ambassador program, because
I actually did get the email asking if I wanted to apply to try the like there was going to be a second round of beta testing. I think unfortunately what happened was they had it set for a specific date, and the being the fact that I live in the United States, we are still currently under quarantine. So I think it was just the timing was just bad in the sense that like coronavirus happened and
Right.
we're dealing with a real life Resident Evil right now versus the game. So I never got an email back, at least to my knowledge. I'm also informationally awful at checking my email. Like I'll go on it maybe once a week just because I have to. But like to pay attention to anything is like I just scroll through it and I'm like, none of this makes sense to me. So like I probably have like 12 emails from Capcom like, dude, where are you? Like your name's on this, like, come on.
I thought you wanted to see cool shit.
I did actually get to I was at a New York Comic-Con back in October, and I did actually get to play I guess it was like a semi-early version of not early, but like almost finished version of Resistance. And this was before they had even had Becca or Martin in the game, so it was just the original 4 characters, and they had only announced Daniel as a mastermind. And I actually got to play the mastermind, which was like apparently so anyone that doesn't know, New York Comic-Con takes place over 4 days. And in the first 3 days, the mastermind went undefeated.
That sounds like a nice time to balance, though, right?
Right.
We've learned a lot today.
I was like, shit, I'm the one. Like, I really wanted to play as a survivor. That to me was the appeal of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But when I won, I was like, oh, I don't even think they made it to the 3rd area before I beat them. Like, I think they got to the first elevator and I was like, oh, they're going to kick my ass. And then I got to the 2nd area and I was like, no, they're not.
That's the complete opposite of my first experience when the game came out. Was we breezed through.
So anyone who's watching, when the beta first came out, Andy and I actually did a stream together on it.
Oh yeah.
And him and I went 8-0 that day as the survivors. That was like, I remember being like, yeah, this game's really hard. Like I was getting my butt kicked. And, of course, just Andy and I, through the power of communication with a couple of our followers, just, we did not lose that day. I don't know what it was.
It was glorious, man. We got
it was great. It was amazing. So yeah, I don't know.
Obviously, bringing it right back round. We can start obviously going through. I know we spoke at length about the leaks, but if we actually start breaking down the trailer and what we saw in the trailer, I mean, if we start with you, Derrick, catching you off guard there. Apologies.
No, I was checking the chat real quick.
If we start with you, I mean, what did you initially? For himself out chatting, what did you initially think about the leaks and think about the reveal? Or Freudian slip there. What did you think about the reveal? What was some key moments for you? And what I'll do is, while you're talking about this, I can go back through the reveal trailer here and at least try and match it up, and we can add some further thoughts, me and Nick.
Okay, yeah. I'd probably say when I was watching you guys' stream of the entire event, right? And so when this first started up, I was like, man, this looks great. I don't know what it is. But by the end, I was pretty confident that it was our home run. But the thing that really draws me the most is like, there seems to be like, there are very clear, strong characters that we don't know yet. There's this old man, maybe not so much, but like there's the old man. There's this girl with the ponytail. There's seemingly I know that there's like the rumor that it's her father, but there's an old man that's attached to her in some way. There's the guy with the glasses. There's the like witches, and I don't know if the Wolfman counts, but like it seems kind of like
informationally that girl with the ponytail looks a lot like Claire. And
Yeah, I've heard a few people say that.
I almost wonder if they did that on purpose.
Right.
Was that a bit later in the trailer? Was it? Or was that
She shows up pretty soon.
She just kind of. Oh, you passed her. She's a little bit. Oh, there's her.
Yeah, and then right there. Like she looks. It's and like. It's not. It can't be her because the face is just too. I think the face is a little too different, especially based on the remake. Claire looking. I would almost imagine if they were going to use her, they would get the same face model back.
Right at this point, like just stick with like this is our established version. Like they didn't do that with Chris, but
yeah, and like some of these characters, they don't even look like they've used face models for them. Like
I thought that was how the RE engine worked. Is it required scanning? Like even the objects are usually scanned. Like a lot of the like vases and like the type. Well, yeah, the typewriters and like the cassette tapes in 7. A lot of those are like actually scanned objects. Like they're not. That's from what I understood of the RE engine was that that was one of the big like breakthroughs they were proud of is like the scanning technology that made it like it's not just like, oh, we made a couple polygons look like this thing. It's no, we scan this thing and it pops up in the game. So like it would be utterly baffling to me for them to not use that technology that they've been like that's adored up till this point. I'd say like with 7 and both the remakes, people like maybe people don't agree with who they chose for the face models, like with the Jill thing, which I never understood. But like
I thought Jill looked fantastic.
Oh, I love the new Jill, absolutely. But like it would be strange to me for them to like basically backpedal this like new technology into like, oh, we're doing unscanned modeled faces instead again. And I don't know why they would do that. But I do kind of see what you're saying. I almost wonder if it's just like, excuse me, this is not like an earlier build or anything, but trailers sometimes are made out of like
placeholders, I guess.
Yeah,
that's fair. Like this guy looks really good.
Oh yeah, looks fantastic. Yeah,
there is talk, and I believe that this is the. And again, going back to our leaks, I did talk briefly about
Frank
it.
Gallagher.
Frank Gallagher. It's also Frank Gallagher. I did talk about this again, not to suck my own cock or anything, but going back to the leaks, I did talk about this briefly.
You almost killed me.
Very, very casual,
But yeah, I did talk about this, and there was a chap here. Let me just get this back here. Called Alan R, which is a mysterious count living in a castle. He is the leader, or at least a high-ranking member of the Connections, which at this point we're told is the primary antagonist group of Resident Evil 8. But there is talk that this could be, and it does make a lot of sense, Daniel Fabron from Resident Evil Resistance, who at this point currently does not have any connections to any Resident Evil games aside from Alex Wesker, who I believe he works for.
That's actually a very interesting theory. I never thought about that because it's like, who is this guy? He does have the glasses, yeah.
And it would be interesting then for them to like. I know that like Resistance isn't canon, but he's the only non-canon.
Because that would almost make sense with the theory of this also, because one of the rumors that we got recently was that this was not only going to be a sequel to Resident Evil 7, but it was also going to be a sequel to Revelations 2, and it would actually include Natalia as one of the one of the main villains. Because at this point, I think this is technically years after Resident Evil 7.
Because Chris is graying and stuff. Like
right. And Revelation 2 took the same place took place around the same time as 6. So we would probably see a slightly older Natalia, who would most likely be full Alex Wesker at this point.
That's a pretty strong one.
What do you think?
It's really good. Even the nose is kind of the same.
The nose looks the same. The mouth looks the same. The problem is they put the beard and the long hair in, and it's just kind of like.
There's Daniel has a mole. I'm pointing at my screen like you guys can see.
Oh yeah.
But like on his left cheek, there's a mole there.
Right.
I wish we could zoom in on our see, like I wish. He's got one there too. He's got a mole on both cheeks.
But I almost don't know if that's something that they would necessarily pay attention to detail to.
Right.
With a character with a face model, like a picture of someone versus the actual live action scan. Also, do want to shout out Matthew, who is one of our followers, for saying that he looks like Arden from Final Fantasy 15, because that was literally the same exact thing that I thought when I first saw that trailer. I was like, isn't that the bad guy from Final Fantasy? Like, what are you doing here?
I'm really liking that idea, but at the same time, like even his hair is like the same color. It's like bleached out a little bit more in the in the old. Like I guess he would be significantly older by this point,
and he did have. Do we know Daniel's origin? Like
he's just do you know what? I completely forgot that he's super like Euro. Like,
he's got an accent.
So I always thought it was like. I always thought it was just a rip on like the German doctor stereotype.
So if you told me he was Romanian, I would believe it.
Right, exactly. Like it's kind of like a Middle European, like German-esque accent, but it's not quite. And
I actually got mad French vibes from that. Maybe either French or like Quebec.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I did think French because he did throw like wee out a lot and stuff.
Oh, that's right, he did. What do they speak in Romania? Is Romanian a language?
Romanian, yeah. That's pretty
Romanian.
Okay, I didn't know if Romanian was actually like a language, just like that's not always like Brazil speaks
Mexican.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's see if they speak French in Romania though, because
I don't believe they do. I'm just gonna. I believe it's just full Romanian. Hang on.
I'm just trying to see if it's one of their like primary languages. You know what I mean? Like if they could just like be BSing it, like no one would recognize Romanian, but they'll recognize French. You know what I mean? Like
well, actually, I just put in French Romanian here, and it does say is Romanian like French, and it says French and Romanian are definitely similar enough that you can guess a large chunk of the words, romanticized for pronunciation and be understood. Holy shit, that's like that's a little bit.
Apparently, if there's a lot of German speaking people in Romania, so that almost kind of like veers away from it a little bit. But I could see. I don't even know if location matters, because of the fact that it does take place in Europe.
Yeah,
does kind of fuel to that fire a little bit. It's like.
The ethnic groups. This is some weird research we're doing here.
I can see them. Right, I can see them. I know Resistance technically isn't canon, but that doesn't mean that the character doesn't have to exist.
Right, like, and that's what needs to be made important. I want to talk about this image so bad, but I want to finish what I'm saying.
Up next.
Yeah, I've been chomping at the bit about this. No, but
I actually do want to talk about this specific character a little bit too. Yeah. There's one thing that I have noticed, but I'll let you continue first. Importantly,
is that I know that the survivors are different. The survivors, there's only like a couple. There's only one canon character of the survivors actually, and that's Jill. And she almost feels just more like, oh, is Carlos also a survivor now?
Not yet.
No, okay.
I mean, you could probably bet that he is the next update.
Right,
but yeah.
That it should be noted that the only mastermind who is not a canon character is Daniel. I mean, it's Annette,
Alex.
Alex.
That's a fair point, man. That's a very accurate, fair point.
Yeah, it's Annette, Alex, and Spencer Oswell, and then Nikolai now. Yeah, and like that means that the only non-canon character of the masterminds is Daniel. Which
right. It would be very.
Oh, go ahead. Yes,
it would be very easy. I think I probably was going to say exactly what you were going to say. It's very easy to make him a character because the story is already there. Mm-hmm. What happened to all of these scientists that were working for Umbrella? Like there couldn't have only been just a few of them. Mm-hmm. We talked. The main focus in the early games was obviously people like Birkin and Wesker and whatnot. But like. It would be really cool if they were just like, yeah, this is the scientist that got out of the city. Mm-hmm. He has been, working in the shadows on such and such project, working for this new company, which would also probably explain the involvement of the Umbrella stuff, because this could be an old Romanian, or European Umbrella testing, facility, or one of Spencer's like many owned areas.
I'm now making a weird connection here, in that we talked about it. We actually had an article about it. Is that they grafted Resident Evil 4 canon into Resident Evil 3 canon.
Yeah, I saw that.
And there is specific mention of a European. You've muted yourself.
Spicy. Hang on. Yeah, spicy here. I'm gonna get that article up while you just chin mic here.
Yeah, and one of the things that's important about that is they mentioned the European branch of Umbrella, who we've never seen. I imagine went defunct when Umbrella went defunct, but there's nothing saying that they're not in Romania. And
so are the Chronicles games considered canon?
I
believe so. I believe what the extra campaign for Chris and Jill. Chris and Jill and Darkseid.
Oh yeah.
Operation Javier.
Yeah. So, but I was talking more about the Chris and Jill one, because that was a European facility that they were infiltrating. Okay. And now maybe whatever mention it was talking about that, but Umbrella was a giant pharmaceutical company.
Oh, one thing I really want to get to these witches, but one thing, could you possibly get us to that the image of that Umbrella symbol? Actually, it should be in our article, so you don't have to change the video to that spot, because
no worries.
I'm pretty sure one thing that's interesting to me is that we don't know anything about Blue Umbrella. And,
right.
The potential for Blue Umbrella being founded by, well, actually, it's outright stated it's founded by original members of Umbrella, who are most definitely absolutely trying to fix everything, right? Like, we're so sorry, right? Like that kind of thing, like doing their little like cleanup of themselves. So there's nothing to say that like Daniel is not that person, right? Like, or one of those people that is part of Blue Umbrella. And there's a puzzle in that trailer. I'm assuming it's a puzzle, because I feel like they showed a lot of puzzles, actually. Like, there's a lot of like pictures during that trailer that I'm like, that's a puzzle, that's a puzzle, that's a puzzle, like, but I swear it's a blue umbrella in the center of it, not a red one, which makes me wonder if like,
I thought it was colorless, actually.
Yeah, it was colorless. It was
was it like the extra?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because
do you know when
without fail,
I'll just watch it while you guys are.
Every Resident Evil game that has like puzzles in it always has like the first puzzle that you do, it's always find the like 3 or 4 items that are going to get you to the next area. So like the first 2 had the keys, where it was like, the helmet, the sword, the armor, the shield key, and then 2 it was like, the spade, the diamond, the heart, the club key. Even in 3 had the like find the pieces to the bus, like find those. So like, to me, that's exactly what this is going to be. This is going to be that puzzle where you're going to go like
the horse, medallion, the sun.
Yeah, find the horse medallion. Find what looks like a mermaid. Whatever those last 2 are.
I'm going to get closer to my screen. That feels so much like it's blue, but I guess it's maybe just like I'm getting.
I reckon they've deliberately left that colorless because you don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely like the entire image looks washed, right? Like it's definitely like
that definitely looks like an old Umbrella logo.
Yeah,
like that looks like the classic logo, which kind of makes me feel like that you will be this facility at one point was an Umbrella facility. Which it'll be interesting to learn about that character.
If that's Daniel, which I've talked myself into it during this, actually. Like, I was so convinced that this was
our theory is too sound. Capcom, rewrite the game.
Yeah. But like I was like, oh, it could be Daniel. Yeah, that's cool. But like the more we talked about it, and the more like even the nose, like when we had them side by side, I was like, oh shit, that looks like the exact same face. So now I'm convinced myself. But like, okay, so I'll finish up with this Daniel thing. But yeah, I think that's a strong argument that like, especially given what I'm about to say about this, I actually can segue between these two things, because I I know that it was mentioned that Daniel works for Alex, and like this being said that it's going to be like a Revelations 2 like a sequel. I couldn't remember the word for some reason, as well as a Resident Evil 7 sequel. I am convinced that this woman is Alex. Is Natalia as Alex? Like she's gone full Alex now.
So I'm conflicted. Because to me, she looks too old to be.
Yeah, let's
an
get it on full
older
screen.
version of Natalia.
We are talking about these witches now, yes?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So into this, based on the leak, I think they gave her a name, and it was like I don't even remember what her first name was, but I remember the last name was Simmons.
Okay.
Now, anyone who's played Resident Evil 6, one of the main villains was Simmons.
Yeah. Yep.
I almost, if this is true, now the issue with this theory is the fact that it also mentioned that the girl that we showed earlier, her name was Emily, and then apparently that's not true. And like a bunch of things that they mentioned weren't true.
There's a scene where she's really close up. I think she's kissing Ethan's hand. Can we get to that?
Yeah. That's like.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let me just.
Evelyn?
I think it's only just a little bit
I'm
long.
curious as to who.
Home invasion.
There you go.
There we go. And it looks like he got his hand cut off again.
Well, no, he didn't. He didn't.
His
doing
thumb's
it.
there. He's doing this.
You could just make out his thumb just there.
And his fingers behind his wrist there too.
Yeah,
Like,
so he's actually pulling like an L shape with his arm almost. Like
she doesn't look that old to me.
She looks
like she could be like.
But she doesn't.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But she doesn't look. She doesn't look young. So.
The thing is, we don't know when this takes place.
Right, and it could also be like they showed the old woman in the trailer as well. I'm almost curious as to if they'll do a similar thing to 7, where like this is the old woman. The old woman,
so like she's the E-type. In this
and
okay.
she is an E-type enemy,
which would explain the witches as hallucinations rather than magic.
Exactly.
I could see where you're getting at with that. Okay, I just. Hey, Andy, pull up the resistance picture for Alex. Let's do what we just did.
Okay, well, I mean, what are you kind of getting at?
We'll just put it side by side, and we'll see what we get, like we did with the Daniel thing.
All right, okay. Let me.
I just figured that there was, you know what I mean, like since we're talking about it, and this is like my baby theory that I've like come up with. If she's like completely unlike the picture, then so be it. But we've now got a canon face for Alex in the RE engine, so I figured we might as well see at the very least what we can get out of it.
Right, okay. I'm just.
Well, that might not matter. Damn it.
Well, what are you thinking?
Because if it's Natalia with Alex in her swimming in her head or whatever, then it doesn't matter, right?
Alex Wesker. Alex Wesker Resistance. So, through the power of technology.
Oh wait, let's see.
Let me get this. So I'm just on this wiki page here. I can't see. Fuck it. Oh, there it is. Right. So there we go. So we've got a portrait here. It's
I'm gonna leave you guys to talk for just a second. I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah. No dramas.
I'm so attached to this theory, like that. I'm like trying to like make the connection. She doesn't look unlike her.
Right, let me zoom in here. There we go.
And then can we?
Let me see if I can. Oh well, no, it's gonna fuck up.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know what this character's name is. Otherwise, I would at least Google it or something like that.
And we can't go by names either because, once again, going back to 6, funnily enough. There's an entire plot point of 6 is that Ada is the villain and it's not Ada. So
yeah, the whole Carly thing.
Yeah, the name doesn't mean anything in the end, right? Like it's. I'm sorry, I'm getting so close, but my camera's attached to my.
Yeah, it's all right. Let me zoom in for you. There you go.
The nose shape is similar to me. but that's all I got. The lips seem a bit more full, but she's also got black makeup, black lipstick in the trailer. And I don't see her eyes in this shot, so I can't tell if they're blue. God, I forgot how great this face model is for Alex, the new one. But I don't know. Like, I guess I'm just like, if we're linking it to Revelations 2, then we have to bring back Alex, right? She's like she's the most important part of 2 that you would have to bring over.
Yeah.
And so like, maybe they'll sit on it, you know? Ooh, there's someone in the chat said, I've seen a post where people are convinced the witch to the far left is Claire.
Okay, all right. What we'll do is we'll just get that back up then. I think it's a little bit further
now I'm
back.
intrigued. Right?
Oh, I've just had it then. Right, so if we to the far left, right? No, I have seen this theory as well.
Oh, okay.
So this one here. I'll tell you what. We'll get a Claire Redfield RE2. Let's see if we can get a side by side here.
I can see what they're talking about from what I remember of Claire from my time in the game.
Right, so I'm just going to quickly side by side this. Let me jump in here. Right, however clear this is going to be on is to be seen. So, oh fuck! Sorry, I started playing the. Let's get this up here. Right, so it should be coming in.
This trailer looks so good.
Oh man, it is really good.
Everything about this trailer is so fantastic.
Oh, it's here, wasn't it? Oh. Just there. Right. Oh, fuck.
I've also noticed there's a scene that we just passed where like it looks like Ethan's hanging on the side of the window while she's like in the mirror doing her makeup or whatever, the main witch. I wonder if that's just like cut straight from gameplay. There's a couple scenes that almost look like they're cut straight from gameplay because they'll have like Ethan with his gun up and stuff like that. Which is weird for a reveal trailer. I felt kind of surprised by that. But yeah, let's see.
I mean, it's kind of hard to. I can't really fucking full screen this, unless if I. I'm hoping that there's a bigger screenshot here.
I'd be amazed if there wasn't, but no. Well, I guess I'm amazed because. Wow. Dude, I figured that I thought every frame of this trailer would be on the internet by now, you know? That's just how the fandom works, you know?
Wait, which? Apparently not. I can't, I don't know what they're called, but yeah, I can't, for whatever reason, can't get it up.
Yeah, well, I guess the only other option is to, like, screenshot it yourself and then zoom it. I can see what they mean. Now, maybe it's possible that for the 3 witches, they weren't really worried about it.
Yeah,
and, like use this like some of their old models, but I can definitely see people saying it looks like Claire. Like I will not deny that definitely looks like Claire. Like the nose shape again, we're going back to, but then like the shape, like the size and shape of her eyes are pretty similar too. I feel like, and her mouth. I don't like that theory.
And obviously going back to just kind of coming out of one of these witches, still to be confirmed what they're actually this team is actually called.
Witches,
it seems
as a witch is just as like an easy catch term, right, for this, but
it seems like of this clan here, this clan of no doubt hormonal women, you've got 3 black coloured witches and what seems like a focus on a white coloured witch here. So is this a queen witch or the leader of the witch, the alpha of the witches?
Yeah, that's kind of like what I got was like there's 3 like minor, like the 3 I guess like surrounding witches, and then like the head witch, like almost like a what is it, American Horror Story, Coven. I want to say that they had like a lead witch every time. I've only ever seen bits and pieces of it, but so I almost wonder if that's what they're going for with these 4. Is that like there's like the head witch. Now, that being said, Nick's theory on her being the E-type of this game, like next to Evelyn, you know, like being the same as Evelyn, being the E-type, means that these witches, welcome back, means that these witches don't actually have to even exist in the long run.
So if I really had to guess if they were like, so again, they may not even exist. They could be these like, you know, somewhat of a figment of your imagination kind of thing. Or they could potentially be villagers. that were taken and
Mhm.
whoever this E-type is was probably somewhere along the lines of, oh, you're the 3 prettiest girls in the village or something like that. We're gonna I'm gonna use you as my pawns instead of turning you into whatever molded fur werewolf monster
Right.
it is. If I had to guess, their inclusion is, I would almost bet that there's going to be sections of the game where, while you're solving puzzles, while you're fighting other enemies, these things are going to kind of be stalking the area looking for you.
I definitely feel like they're like really
And while I don't
ironing out the kinks of the like ever-present enemy, like from
Yeah,
7
they're-
to 2 to 3,
they're making that very much a consistent thing in these more recent games, because I think it adds to that level of tenseness. Is something is always going to be following you, and then as you get to later parts of the game, I'm sure that'll change. Yeah, I think that they're gonna be things that are following you. They'll probably die in some kind of fixed boss fight, and then you'll just, in every area that you're in, it'll be a different witch.
Yeah, and maybe each of them has like a specialty or something. Like,
Indeed.
Right, or it's all similar abilities that you just have to deal with.
I almost feel like one of the most important horror games of the last decade. No, the last 100 years. I feel like one of the most important horror games of the last 10 years that is really showing up in Resident Evil, especially. But I think more things are starting to kind of realize is that Alien Isolation did it so well, where like the alien isn't ever present. Like the alien in Alien Isolation is similar to Mr. X in the remake of 2. Is that it is a constant, ever present running program that I guess, to like pull the cover off of the horror a little bit, it's a running program. It's a running program, right, not actually a thing, not alive, but it's a ever running program that learns from your interactions with it, which is one of the biggest things about that game that was so strong. Is it like what works the first time, like if say you have one of the revolvers, right, you shoot in the face and eventually it's like, that hurts, ouch, I leave, right? Like the next time you encounter it, it will actively seek cover when it sees that you have the gun. So it is a constantly changing, like morphing program that has like probably thousands of permutations.
It learns your play style and basically tries to play against your play style.
Right, and I think that makes it. That's why it's so important for the genre, because I think that's something that should almost always be present. Is like, maybe not like always, I guess I'm exaggerating a bit, but like a good thing to have present is like a learning constant enemy, because it's like I don't know, I learned this the other day and I've been waiting for the moment to talk about it, so I guess that's just one of those things. But like Hitchcock always said, like you're watching 2 people sitting at a table and then suddenly a bomb goes off. You're surprised, but you're not, that's it, your surprise ends. But if you watch someone come in, put the bomb under the table, and then the people show up, then it's suspense, because there's always that there's a bomb and you're wondering when that bomb matters, right? And I feel like 7 did it great with Jack, and 2 did it well with Mr. X. Nemesis was a bit more scripted, but even then, when he's present, when he enters the level, it, and it's like, now I have to think about this, that's a really, really good aspect of a horror game to me, is
focus with and sorry to cut you off, but I think the focus with Nemesis was more, they made it scripted because they wanted more of those moments of like Nemesis bursting through the wall, Nemesis walking through the fire to come and get you, like they wanted to make him seem more like a threat and not just this big enemy that's just going to randomly chase you around throughout the game.
Yeah, and I kind of like that idea a bit more. Like, it worked well for Mr. X to have him just be going, because he's just a big stupid lug, right? Like his entire presence is just, I'm big zombie, right? Like
walk, punch.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But Nemesis is more just the antagonist. Like he's more of a character. It's like he's supposed to be smart. Like Nemesis is actively pointed out to be an intelligent creature.
Right.
Knows how to use multiple weapons, which Mr. X I don't think ever does, if I remember correctly. But Nemesis knows weapons, knows tactics, knows like strategy basically. And like I think you're right in that like you have to make that sacrifice when you're Capcom. Is do we make Nemesis just like Mr. X, but maybe a little bit modified to be a little interesting?
Right.
Or do we make Mr. X the scariest goddamn thing you've ever seen, but that requires us to tell him what to do sometimes? And I think the trade-off is a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was gonna continue on with I was just gonna agree. I was agreeing with you.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely felt like they more so needed to do it. I also wonder if it had something to do with the length of the game as well. The fact that the game is basically about a 3.5 hour long story. You probably didn't leave much time for putting him in specific areas where he was going to follow you around like that. I think it made it easier for them to just have him in scripted. Outside of 1 or 2 sections in the game or something like that.
The more linear nature of the game too, probably.
Right.
The original 3 was also linear.
Yeah, I mean it was. Yeah, I would say so. It was definitely a lot more linear. I mean, it had its open area aspect, but it was very much like there was no real backtracking. You go to an area and you can pretty easily get the thing that you needed to get to the next area. They had a couple parts where you could optionally go back to the beginning and now you have this item that you can use in the beginning to get extra ammo or whatever, but it was never necessary like in the originals. You never
I agree.
So they did, in the aspect of that, I think they did a really good job, and they seem to be doing a similar thing with 8 now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that we're kind of segueing into for the Resident Evil series, is rather than being there's lots of enemies and occasionally a big one, there's the big enemies and how you navigate those encounters. I think that's kind of becoming the Resident Evil formula now, which I don't dislike. As long as there's some fodder. I feel like the molded were kind of added later. I guess to kind of talk about
it. They probably felt that while running away from Jack Baker is cool and all, having just people infected people as an enemy isn't as strong as they're going to give you all these guns and ammo and stuff, and they want to give you enemies to kill. They want you to give you a reason to use these, as opposed to just stopping Jack Baker, stopping Marguerite Baker,
Right. And I think that's fine. I think that I don't know how they'll do it in this one. Maybe it'll be like you said, a return to molded, or perhaps we'll get some villager type stuff.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a new enemy altogether, because even in the trailers for 7, they didn't show the molded at all, did they? Or very, it took them a while to introduce the molded.
If I remember correctly, I don't think that the molded ever showed up at all in the.
Yeah, I think it was something that they just kind of were surprised they're in the game.
Yeah. I know that the first time I encountered one. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's right. Go on. Just wrap up the points, and then we'll move on to our next point here.
Okay, yeah. I remember the first time I encountered the molded. I had no idea. I had no idea what I was encountering, because I was well, there's the 3, and what the hell is this, right? So I'm almost positive that the molded weren't part of the material leading up to 7, which is probably a good choice to keep that close to the chest, because then it's oh, I've escaped Jack, and now I'm in the basement, and then you're not safe in the basement at all. So
yeah, it's not just dank. It's just not just dank locations. I think the molded. I think the molded was reasonable. Smooth segue onto a fantastic article that you wrote, Derrick, yesterday, which is just a summary of the points from the reveal trailer, and again some nice plot points we can talk, some nice points that we can talk about. Aside from this, absolutely Metal Gear Solid 5-esque poster of Chris Redfield, fucking glorious.
Chris becoming punished. Chris.
Yeah, punished Chris.
We have to stop Metal Gear, Ethan, and the only way is to murder your wife. Ethan, you have to listen to me. The Metal Gear, Ethan.
Painfully accurate.
Oh god, I love it.
Now we will of course go on to Chris's seemingly new arc
No.
But first, what we'll do is, if I just zoom this in here, we'll talk about the this new mountainous location. And just a side note, I immediately picked up that this was Resident Evil 8 when I saw that picture, because I was going through the trailer, kind of looks like the RE engine. All right, there's the werewolves, but this is the frame that definitively proved to me that it was indeed Resident Evil 8. So if you could talk a little bit about the this new mountainous location.
I just want to say real quick, if this is like the starting area for the game, because the castle is very clearly where the, like, I would say majority of maybe puzzle solving and stuff is going to happen, but I would almost guess you're going to start at the bottom of this area and you're going to have to make your way up to the castle. It's massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of space.
This is really the first time, I think, and maybe anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, this is really the first time in Resident Evil history where they've just put you in a huge area, and I hope they just kind of go figure it out.
Yeah, an open-ended approach to the map. Well, I mean, 7 was kind of like that. Now that I think about it, 7 kind of had like
it almost.
I'm so sorry I had to zoom in then.
Yeah, of course.
It almost gives me Silent Hill 1 feels, in the sense of Silent Hill 1, they throw you into the center of the beginning of the town, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, figure it out. Find out what you got to do. Find the things you got to find. There was no, like, maybe I should check here. Resident Evil 1's like, go in the dining room. You very clearly need this item to get into this room. Silent Hill was just like, it's foggy. I don't know if you're going the right way. And you're asked out. And like, I get a lot of, I'm hoping that they pull a lot of inspiration from that, where they're just kind of like, the item that you're looking for is somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, like in this screenshot, there's actually like a very clear image of the village at the bottom of this mountain, or the foot of this like hill that this castle's on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, yeah, you can definitely see it, like the spire of a church in the middle right there.
Right, just here, is it? Oh, sorry, it's all around here.
It's covered by trees and stuff. I didn't even.
Yeah, so like where your cursor is, like go up, directly up. That's a church spire right there, like 100%. Yeah,
it almost looks like
hello.
There's like a bell, like a. They'll probably do some kind of Resident Evil 4. You're in the village and the bell rings kind of thing.
Yeah,
which that's also something we should talk about too.
But I feel like we should definitely touch on that later.
Let's not get off topic again.
Yeah, I definitely also I know exactly what you're gonna say, because I also want to say it. But
yeah, mad Resident Evil 4 vibes from this.
Oh yeah, and I guess I'll just throw this out there, and we'll make it a point to talk about it a little bit more later. But reusage of assets between 7 and 2 and 3 is very clear, and a clear choice, which is not a bad thing. Like, as little data used as possible is, I get it, especially as someone who works on game design and stuff.
You were close to what I was gonna say, but we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there.
Okay. But that is a sizable village. Now, odds are that some of it will be linear, or not. Not linear, but like enclosed, right? Like
yeah. Do you know, like there's obvious boundaries. You'll walk, and there'll be a barrier of some kind that blocks you off from entering the rest of the world. So it won't be like a full-on sandbox adventure,
right? But in thinking about it, like, they kind of touched on that possibility in 7, because once you exit the house, the game takes place around the trailer. I guess.
There's like the you got to go into this area and this area.
Yeah, there's like a hub almost, which is not safe, which you think is safe, and then like later in the game they're like, go fuck yourself. There's zombies here now. Yeah. But I almost wonder if they're going to do something like that now, where like they're now expanding on that same concept, especially now with the stronger engine, not stronger engine, my bad, it's the same engine, but like the stronger hardware, because this is exclusively next generation. They've said that specifically, that it will only be PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC, which is always the generation. But I almost wonder if they're like they've got their proof of concept in 7, which for 8 for 2 and 3 it's not, they can't really do that in 2 and 3 because they already have a roadmap that they have to follow. But I almost wonder if like when they approached 8, this is all just theory. This is Derrick theory. But when they approached 8, I almost wonder if they said, okay, we've proven a lot of concepts with 7. We've proven first person. We've proven slightly almost like open worldy hub. We've proven horror's where it's to go, and we've proven that zombies aren't the thing that we need every time. And I almost wonder if those are like they've like got these key bits that they're like, now let's take that and blow it up. Because that's a lot of game design starts like that. It's like, okay, we now have these like 3 or 4 things that we know are what we want. Now, how do we expand on those 3 or 4 things? I almost wonder if like the idea that like everything swirled around this one area, and then towards the end it was in a new area with the tanker and everything, and even then return to the original area to finish in the actually the very original area, like the guest house, to finish off the game. I wonder if that's something that they like took away with and were like, okay, this is going to work. Let's go with that. And I almost wonder if the village is going to act like a hub of sorts, because it does say something about like, let me see if I can pull it up. There was like all the information you need, like it was like the Capcom's like bullet points, I guess you could say, part of their press release. And one of the things they said is living, breathing village. And I almost wonder if like you had mentioned it earlier, Nick, that you wonder if like the villagers aren't necessarily going to be like enemies guaranteed. I almost wonder if there's like a hub that is going to change over the course of the game.
Yeah, I would almost imagine that like I could see the beginning of the game almost Ethan showing up to this village, whatever the reason may be. Chris at the start of the game murders his wife, steals his baby, anything to make Chris Redfield look like an asshole. Kicked his mom in the knee. I don't know, but you show up to this village, and it would be really cool to see like people kind of just like living, and like it's sort of at the beginning of like whatever like shit is about to go down, because you think about like all of these games, whenever the main character gets there, shit already happened, like shit already went down, you know. You could kind of say like Resident Evil 6 when you're in the like Raccoon City, whatever fake version.
Oh god, the Chinese city? I can't remember what it's called.
No. It was the one that Leon was in the beginning.
Oh, the college.
Yeah, but he was also in the town too.
Yeah, it spreads from the college onwards. Yeah.
You kind of see shit hitting the fan, but I almost want to see it from the beginning. Like I want to see these people like, oh, there's been like rumors of a wolf in the forest, and it's been like murdering our townspeople or something like that, or like that would almost be cool. Like that interaction with the old man, like that's kind of what it is like this guy is like, I thought you were this wolf monster that was coming to get me or whatever. And then it slowly kind of derails into this like everyone's dying, you come back, everyone's dead. I don't know, just something like like
it's not just a static world, like
right, like you don't just show up and everyone's already dead, or there's
right. That's kind of why I love the Outbreak game so much, is because it was like literally it's happening now, like
it is, yeah, it's the beginning,
right. Yeah, I mean like even 2 and 3 didn't really, well 2 definitely didn't have that, like you said, like Leon literally drives into town and
3 they showed it a little bit.
Yeah, well the new 3 for sure. Yeah
the thing with the remake was they kind of made it seem like they were going to show it a lot more than they did. Obviously at the very beginning you see people panicking and like survivors running away, but like I thought it was really going to be a big emphasis on like survivors like slowly dying out. And then it just became this like, and I get like at a certain point she was asleep for 3 days or whatever, but like even prior to that it just felt like they kind of gave up after a certain point and focused more on zombies. Like it would have been cool to go into the police station and see survivors in the police station like freaking out, like, oh my god, what do we do, and the police have no idea what to do. Like I don't know if you guys have ever seen Apocalypse, but Jill walks into the police station in Apocalypse and people are like freaking out in the police station, and like police are still actively there, but there's also zombies in the police station, or like people are slowly coming into the police station infected.
Yeah.
So I would like to kind of see a little bit of that, but that's more of a wish.
We'll just have to hope for Outbreak to get a remake somehow.
Oh, indeed. Just something else that you picked up in your article, Derrick. And this has not been confirmed. This was not in the trailer. Can you confirm the source of this image? What if I zoom in just now, actually, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at? It's seemingly an inventory with that seems to be a caution system. Obviously, we've still got the blocks. We've got the currency, which I'm sure we'll touch on. That gives us a big indication on where this village is.
Yeah. Can we talk about the fact that there's an outline of a briefcase? I just noticed that.
Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't even
handle and everything.
Attaché case. Look at that.
Yeah, it's an actual attaché case. I want to say this is legitimate. I want to say that this was.
Can we confirm where we got this photograph from?
I'm pretty sure it's part of the Capcom press kit.
Right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure this is the actual Capcom image. Like this is from the developer message. Because see, in the bottom it says, "Let's take a look at the inventory." I want to say that was the subtitle for them breaking it down during the developer message.
They showed this, and they showed a quick video of the inside of what looked like the main hall to the castle.
Okay.
Very Spencer Mansion-y vibes. Obviously, they're just kind of like. They're going to find a way to make it like, oh, the Romanian cousin of George Trevor was picked to design the building or design the castle in Romania.
Gregory Trevor.
Yeah, exactly. and of course, there's going to be death traps and puzzles and stuff all over this castle, because why wouldn't there be? It's an umbrella facility or whatever the hell it is.
Oh god, I can't even begin to talk about the I feel like I know it's like Resident Evil is still first person now, like, and everything like that. But I feel like just from what I've seen from like the developer message and the trailer itself, like I feel like Resident Evil's reinvented itself all over again. And I don't hate it. I just feel like it's like, I mean, like think about like it's staying the first person. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I have this theory with the games where every 3 main title or main series is going to be a specific style. You look at the first 3; they were very tank controls, fixed camera angles, over the shoulder, like very specific style. Then you go to 4, 5, and 6, third person, actiony oriented, you shoot 'em up kind of things. It's looking like 7, like obviously 7 and 8 are going to be first person. If I had to guess, 9 will follow suit. Will probably be first person. Unless they kill Ethan in this game, I can see him being the protagonist for the next one as well.
I do get that, actually. It's seemingly like it's kind of like become like Star Wars in a way, where you have like the original series, and then it goes the action horror series, and now it's the modern series, I guess.
We're cashing in on Silent Hills and PT and Outlast kind of thing. But if you really, but also think about it like this too. They'll come out with 9, and I think. I would almost bet that 9 is in development right now. I would, if it seems like we're going to be getting a yearly Resident Evil, which we can talk about that in a second as well, based on what we're getting next year and based on a point that I wanted to make before. But let's say 2022 or 2023, we'll get Resident Evil 9. I bet that it'll be first person. I bet it'll have Ethan. Now, Ethan, think about it. The next one after that, Resident Evil 10, it's a big deal. It's the 10th main title series. They'll probably do something different. They'll probably have to do something different because it's the 10th one. It's the 10th game. It's going to be this big deal. They're going to push it as a big deal. What it's going to be, I have no idea. Maybe they go back to over fixed camera angles as like a fan thing, or maybe they do something totally different.
Or maybe they do what some people have suggested and then just give you the option.
Yeah, that's possible as well. You can make it first person, you can make it third person.
We know they can do both because Lost in Nightmare had the little like Easter egg thing that you could do where if you turned around and
hit the door 3 times.
Yeah, hit the door 3 times. It was the entire mansion segment became fixed camera, and so there's proof that they can do it.
Definitely.
I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, like I don't mind them saying let's stick to this one thing, make it great, right? Like I don't hate that, but I also think that that would get rid of like half the complaints of like for the trailer of 8 is I don't like that it's still first person, which I can't relate, but like they would get rid of those complaints entirely. You know what I mean? Like even to make it over the shoulder, like 2 and 3 were. Just
something segueing on, and thank you for your comments on that. That is really appreciated. I'm going to show you an image now, and I want you to tell me your immediate thought. This is like one of those psychological lessons, where it's like I'm going to show you a picture,
and I think I know what picture you're going to show us too.
big chungus.
Oh,
big thick Chris. What did we think?
I almost go ahead, sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just I almost just think that they just were like, people didn't like other Chris, let's just make him old Chris again, because he looked like, it doesn't look like he's fat. Like look at those pecs, like you could.
Yeah, Chris Redfield is a buff boy.
Man is jacked again. Like
I don't know what they were thinking.
Someone's response, "Daddy."
That is Doom Guy. Fucking BJ Blazkowicz jawline. That
yeah. No, they very clearly were just like,
hi.
They were like, give him like BJ Blazkowicz face with Arnold's physique. They were just
that is
small head, big body.
Man. That is a gigantic man. Like those pecs could break. Like you can't shoot Chris. He's bulletproof now.
One thing I do actually want to bring up is he's giving me just attire-wise, he's giving me some serious Albert Wesker vibes.
Yeah, connotations of Wesker. And that coat, somebody wore that coat, and I can't remember who did. That sort of kind of V on the other way. I think it was Wesker actually.
I think it was Wesker in
Wesker in 5 had like a zipped up like Matrix thing going on.
I don't think it was. Well, that was 5, yeah, but 4. He was in 4.
Only briefly though. I can't remember what
he was in the Mercenaries, and he was in Separate Ways, I believe he showed up.
So that was, I was gonna say it looks a lot like a Tyrant. Someone just said T-101, which is I think a Terminator reference more than anything. But I'm trying to remember what was it what were the Tyrant series? Like what were their numberings?
Which one was you talking about?
Just the Mr. X was like T-103 or something, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
He had like an overcoat.
Yeah, like and it wasn't quite like this because he had it like buttoned up all the way, and it was almost like a detective thing going on. In the remake, in the original, he kind of like had like a.
I was never really good with the Tyrant.
102, 103, and then T-101 would have been just the original Tyrant that wasn't clothed, right in the end of the original one. That like kills Wesker and everything. That's T-101, correct?
Yeah.
This is just an image I found of Wesker. I mean,
that's 5. That's 5 right there.
Yeah, look at the coat, man.
I'm thinking of the undercoat that he like. Eventually gets rid of the coat and is only in that like zip up thing. But yeah, he's definitely giving off major Wesker vibes. So someone said the thing. Do we agree that Resident Evil 7 Chris was an imposter? That can't be. I'm not shitting on you. Sorry. The way I said that, I realized was really.
Dick.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Ban that man from the chat.
No, but it can't be because Ethan recognizes him. Ethan recognizes this person as Chris.
I have a theory on this. If he's giving off serious Wesker vibes, now I'm gonna. This is gonna go back to the plot of Revelations 2, which anyone who has not played that, spoiler, although it has been about 6 or 7 years now.
It's also a great game, and you should have played it by now.
Right. Now, the whole point of that was Alex Wesker was inserting, like, I'm still not sure what it was. It was like a personality, or like I don't want to say that, like, because I don't want to necessarily say it was consciousness, because I don't think Alex Wesker was inside of Natalia. I think whatever she did provokes Natalia to then become the next Alex Wesker.
Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to remember. Like, there's a whole, like, well, first of all, Resident Evil Revelations 2 was surprisingly heady. As far as, it was like cerebral for some reason. Like, they, like, for a side game, they sure went all in on, like, the philosophy, because there's a bunch of Kafka and a bunch of, like it was like really.
And it almost sounds like they're doing a little bit of that with the storytelling in the beginning of the trailer. Yeah. Now, what if they do a similar thing in this with Chris and the, like, personality / consciousness of Albert Wesker?
That would be interesting.
So Chris slowly becomes more and
Chris!
more. Yeah.
I am you, Chris.
I mean, if you really look, it sounds ridiculous. It does. But
they've established it as a thing.
If you really think, if they were ever to pick anyone that Wesker would do that to, it would be Chris.
Yeah, I guess my only question is, how would they do that now, right? Because, like, he's well,
I guess if
canonically dead as he gets, right? Like,
right. I mean, there's with every, like, there's so many. Wesker was tested on. His DNA probably exists in every umbrella,
lab
facility everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised they haven't cloned him at this point. Like,
right. I mean, because
they have the ability to. I think.
Well, we've established clones in the series too. Is with.
Okay.
I think it's this scene in particular. This might be a bit earth-shattering, but this is all a hallucination.
That's possible. That's
think about it. I mean, we're going to draw into this right now. Look at the imagery we're seeing. We're seeing tunnel vision. We're seeing tunnel vision Ethan focusing on what's directly in front of him. Look at everything else around him. Completely blurry. Almost like a different reality. Like he's woken up in a nightmare almost. And we know that hallucinations, well, judging from our very, very vetted chances are very likely leaks, that hallucination plays a massive part in this game. Maybe Ethan believes that Chris has killed me. I'm just going to push it forward now, and there is what I assume to be Mia on the floor.
God, this scene is brutal.
Look at her. The unfortunate thing about this picture is it's very dark.
I'm almost convinced. I like your theory, Andy, but one thing that I think needs to be mentioned is I feel like this entire scene is doctored specifically for the trailer. I mean, because there's no reason not to show me his face in the game, right? Like in the game proper, when this scene happens, if that's Mia, right? Or whoever that is really in the end, there's no reason not to show them getting blown away, right? Like, because it's important, obviously. So I feel like this entire scene is doctored. Now, that doesn't change the possibility of it being hallucination, because we already know that hallucinations can happen with the.
I thought maybe what he was going for was more along the lines of, like, it's a hallucination. Mia's dead, but it wasn't Chris that killed Mia. It was Ethan.
Oh, so you're thinking that something is manipulating Ethan's memory to see. Well, that's also supported by the fact that I'm almost positive that's a different voice actor for Chris. It sounds, actually, someone said it sounds a lot like Carlos.
Yes, yeah, I think it was Matthew, actually, who was in my original live stream where we kept replaying, and just for the benefit of this stream, I'm actually going to replay this last bit, and I'm not sure how loud this is, so I do apologize. But if we just go back to Village here.
Chris? Sorry, Ethan.
I don't know.
That sounds exactly like Carlos to me, and like
So
I wasn't
actually-
convinced until someone said it.
It
But-
sounds like the voice actor from Seven.
Okay,
It doesn't sound like Roger Craig Smith. I think Roger Craig
Well-
Smith ultimately is done as Chris.
Well, yeah, he wasn't even in 7 though, right? I don't think so.
No, it was someone totally different. It was
Since we're doing the deep dive, why don't you, Andy, pull up the like end scene of 7, where Chris introduces himself as Chris, and we can do like a side by side voice comparison.
Let's
the guy's
hear this.
name-
Let's hear this one more time. Let's hear this one more time.
Okay.
Sorry. Chris? Sorry, Ethan.
Is that the same Ethan voice?
Why?
Does anyone clear
Yes.
that up? Right,
So
okay.
Ethan's voice was Todd Soley.
It sounds almost exactly like him to me, but we can do both. It's actually both are in the end scene, so
The guy that did the voice for Chris was named David Vaughn. I don't know if it's the same guy, but I wonder if there's some information on that.
Right, okay, so we're just getting the scene up here now.
I'm Redfield. I'm glad we found you.
The fuck took you guys so long?
All right, what do you think?
that doesn't sound the same to me. It really doesn't. The Ethan sounds the same. I will say that I'm almost positive that that's the same voice actor as Ethan.
Yeah.
Especially because you spend the entire game listening to him snark his way through it. So,
Right.
So at this point, I'd probably recognize the guy in a voice lineup. But
Interesting. I just found out totally off topic, but the guy that voiced Chris in Vendetta was not Roger Craig Smith.
really,
Interesting.
Yeah,
he was a really good impersonator of him then. Because when
Yeah,
I watched Vendetta, I could have swore it
the
was him.
voice for him in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, though, which was 2017.
Just picking up in our live chat here. So apologies, it was actually Abby that told me. Well, I think it was one of my regulars told me that it kind of sounds like Jeff Shine, who is the official Carlos voice actor. Also, Roger Craig Smith confirmed that he is not Chris in Resident Evil 8.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of Jen there for you.
Okay, which he said I guess it's good that he did confirm it, because then that we know that they're backpedaling the face. Like that's the thing, is that I get the idea of it like being someone different, but like the fact that like I feel like in the trailer they did that on purpose, where they're like, this is original Chris's, like not original Chris's face exactly, but you know what I mean, like we're backpedaling what Chris looked like in
Right, they're
7.
trying to make him more recognizable.
Yeah,
and I think that was the problem with 7 was, had you showed me a picture of that character and said, "Who do you think this is?" I would go, "I don't know."
yeah, it's
Like this is very clearly Chris Redfield,
right.
but the guy from 7 was, like there was and like they should have really capitalized on like that. Is this guy really Chris? They should have really made it more like maybe this guy is pretending to be Chris. Maybe this guy is a fake.
That was my theory for a long time, and once it was confirmed to be not correct, I was fine. I'm fine with I was fine with the new Chris for a while there,
I
but
get it. He was in the game for a total of 10 seconds.
yeah, and like a couple cutscenes in his own campaign. But even then, you're playing as him, so you don't see him.
So at that point, it doesn't really matter. But
yeah, I don't know. The fact that it's clearly a different voice actor is the thing that's really throwing me, because the original voice actor for 7, Chris, right? Who I would not. I would put money down that it's not the same voice actor either way. Even if it's not important that it's not the same voice actor, I would put money down that it isn't the same voice.
Yeah,
actor.
I mean, it's the guy from 7 is David Vaughn, so we'll see. I mean, maybe they did get Kevin Dorman to come and do it from Vendetta, but even then, I don't.
he sounds like he really does sound like Carlos to me. Like once it's in my head, I can't get it out though. Like that's the thing is that like
I agree.
Once someone says it, you're like, yeah, definitely, and then it's stuck, right? Like
Okay. Any closing thoughts on Resident Evil 8? I know I spent a reasonable amount of time on it, so
I think it's going to be. I mean, I think everyone's in for a very emotional ride.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to. Capcom is going to drastically change like what we expect from a Resident Evil game going forward. And I think they're really gonna. This is gonna be the game that really pushes forward with the next generation of characters. I think while I love seeing Chris and Jill and Claire and Leon and all of these characters and all of the games coming back, I love playing as them. I've been a fan since I was a child. Unfortunately, we're in 2020, and there's only these characters are going to have to age. So I think it is very important for them to really start pushing the next generation of characters, whether it's Ethan or Mia or Moira Burton or whoever. I think this is going to be the one that really pushes that forward.
Yeah. I mean, my closing kind of regards are similar. I feel like cleaning out the character closet, like basically like Nick was describing, is pretty important at this point because, as you said, like time is marching in the series. Like they've made it very clear that time is continuing on and people are getting older. Barry in Revelations 2 comments on how old he's getting and how tough it is to keep doing what he's doing. I think that making a new generation of characters is the only way to make the series like continue. Like Halo still got Master Chief as the main character, yeah, but there's only 5 games, and like the first 3 games happen in the course of a week.
Right, like there's no. It's been 6 years. It's been 12 years. Like it could all be the next day for all we care.
Yeah, and in Halo, it's canonically the entire like final push of the Halo Covenant War, not to go off on a completely different series that I'm obsessed with, but then the final push of the Halo Covenant War is like over the course of a month. Reach gets attacked, Master Chief leaves Reach, finds the Halo ring, and over the course of like that next month is when everything happens in the entirety of the first 3 games. So like you don't need to like throw out the character or anything, but like 4 opens with it's been 6 years since that happened or whatever. Like I think it's been 6 years since that fateful day or whatever Leon says.
6 years have passed since that horrendous incident.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep. That exact line. Dude, every time I love that opening. But it's time is marching forward for the characters, and with the remakes now making a cycle, you can still have those old characters, but with like the primary games, I think, just like Nick said, I think it's time for like a new cast of characters. Because honestly, think about like for the first game, it's like all the characters we meet. The second game is completely new characters. The third game is almost entirely new characters except for Brad and Jill. And then Code Veronica is when they start using the same characters again. But like even from then on, 4 introduces Ashley and Krauser as if they're like, Krauser as if he was always there, which is hilarious to me every time.
I'm glad that they did eventually.
For Dark
Put
Side
him in something else, yeah. But
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be upset if they never put Ashley in another game.
I will defend Ashley to the end of the earth.
Although I do want to talk next. The next thing I think we should talk about is what we are getting next year.
Go ahead. Sorry, no, this is your.
But I will let you continue. I just want you to finish what you were saying before we.
We've kind of like slowly introduced the new generation. Not necessarily Sheva, but like you said, Moira, Ethan kind of becoming like a big deal now, which I love Ethan as a character, honestly.
And you can still use, Sherry. Sherry's still young.
Yep. Sherry, was what, like 20 during the events of 6.
Yeah, she would. You've got a solid 15 or 20 years with her.
Yeah, and
still coming.
I think that 6 partially was trying to do that, but 6 was so poorly received that like Jake we're never going to see again, unfortunately. As much as I thought Jake was a good character too.
Yeah, I thought Jake was a good character. I thought like Helena had some promise. So like those like some certain characters, Helena, Sheva, we're never going to see them again. I was going to say Piers, but obviously we're never going to see Piers again. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I mean, like the partners disappear all the time, unfortunately. Like Billy disappeared ages ago. But like, I mean, I think Moira is a great, like, I think carrying over characters that are like legacy characters, literally legacy characters in the case of like Moira Burton, and like, obviously no one else has had a fucking kid, I guess, but like no one has sex in this universe.
What's so funny is I actually saw a meme the other day that was like defending Ethan against anyone that was talking shit about him, and they're like, Ethan is the only one that has canonically had sex in this game.
We know Barry did before the game.
Barry has, and that's when I was like, well, no, that's not true. But
but Barry, that was before the events. For as far as we know, Barry's never had sex again.
Right. 7 and 8, like Ethan's gotten busy, whereas like I feel like Jill is constantly trying to get piped by Chris.
That's
like, I gotta stop, bro.
Chris is like, so like, I can't do it. I like, life is too shit. Basically.
Right. He's just got forever whiskey dick because he's just like drunk and then he's fighting.
No, I I just. The virgin Chris versus the Chad Ethan, right? All you do is put Cass canonically had sex, and that's the end of it.
That's why he killed Mia. He's like, I can't believe you would ruin the main character. We're supposed to stay virgins.
But like the legacy characters, I think, like, well, the one legacy character being Moira Burton would be great, actually, because everyone loves Barry. There's not a single person I know that's like, fuck that Barry character. I hate that character.
Right. And Moira, I thought, was a great character.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that she's a character, based on the ending of Revelations 2, seemed very much into the idea of going into the same business as Barry and fighting bioterrorism and taking an interest in that.
I would argue that Moira is the only main character so far to have like a complete arc, like a complete character arc.
Yeah, I mean, Polly exists too, her sister.
Yeah,
and like we've only heard of her in passing. It would be cool if they introduced her as a character. They could, and these characters don't necessarily need to be the sons or daughters of characters that we know already.
Indeed. Which is what is so good about Ethan. And obviously, kind of rounding my thoughts of the reveal and everything that we received by now, I'm genuinely enjoying like the whole lore building again, because it really feels like a new game. It doesn't feel like we're going back to Raccoon City. We're going back. We're going to a new area. It's fucking drenched in horror and atmosphere, and I cannot wait to see the next trailer that they're going to release on Resident Evil 8.
August.
Yeah, August.
We know that for sure. August this year is getting something else.
Yeah, we'll end our discussion on Resident Evil 8 with that. Everyone pay attention to August.
Yeah,
because we're going to be getting what seems like a lot of information on the game, which I would assume means, I know they said 2021. I would assume it's very early 2021 that we're getting this game.
Maybe January.
I'm also the opinion it's going to be like January, February.
It's probably going to be January.
I mean, it has to be January because Resident Evil 2 remake released in January. Actually, Resident Evil 7, I'm pretty sure released in January as well.
7 was January. 3 was April.
Yeah, that is what it is.
I also feel like 3 just got pushed back a little bit with, just because of the people that they didn't want people thinking what, and people ended up thinking anyway, was that it was rushed. I think they didn't want it to be
3 like actually, they had worked on 3 for a very long time.
Oh yeah, that's
the issue with 3 was 3. So they've openly said that 2's development, because it took like the reason that it took so long was because the development for 2 was an absolute nightmare. They were they were trying to figure out which way they're gonna go. They tried first person, they tried over the fixed camera angles, and eventually they decided on third person view. But ultimately they were like, we don't even know if this is going to sell well. Like they were not confident in their product, which is hilarious because it's one of the best Resident Evil games I've ever played.
Yeah.
With that being said, 3 was being, like Andy said, was being worked on side by side with it. Now they have also said 2 was an absolute nightmare. 3 was even worse. They were like 3 was a what's I guess Madhouse difficulty if we're
yeah nightmare Madhouse.
Let's step up.
Yep.
But yeah, they were saying 3 sucked. They were like, if 2 doesn't do well, we're not even going to release this to the public. Like they were just going to scrap 3 at one point, which would have been a very sad thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing is that, like, sorry, not to cut you off. That's just kind of how it ended up being. Is I get some of the complaints about 3, and don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect game, and I loved it personally, but like I get it. I get some of the major complaints. But the truth is that this is one of those few arguments where like they didn't need to give it to us, but they did. Like that's usually just a cop out. But in this case, I kind of feel like that's it because, like you said, it was being developed at the same time as 2, and if 2 bombs, all of that development is for nothing.
Oh, 100%.
It's just a complete waste of time, money, code. It's a complete waste. And so, like, I almost wonder if like it's part of the reason it's so short is because they didn't want to go 2 balls to the wall.
Don't go all in.
Yeah, because if it's an investment that might not matter in the end. If two bombs, which obviously we know it didn't, but if 2 had bombed, then 3 never sees the light of day because why do it if 2 bombed, right?
Right.
And then that means that all of that time, all of that money, all that effort, it's wasted.
Right.
So
they would have then probably released Project Resistance as its own thing.
Yeah, like
which I still think they're going to do, by the way. They have to at this point because that game's dying quick.
So you think they're going to drop like a $20 Resistance version or something like that?
Yeah,
or PS Plus or something.
Just make it a free game,
free to play, and then just monetize the cosmetics.
Yeah, like that's how you're going to get people into the game. That's how you're going to like look
crossplay,
and free play.
Yeah, especially because it's not an FPS. So
you can make your money on cosmetics, whatever. People buy loot boxes because they want Jill to look like a hooker. I want my Jill to look like a hooker. I mean,
we're not excluding ourselves here,
right? Like those are the best costumes. I mean, like that being said, though, like it is dying quick, even with these updates. The problem is their updates are adding very minimal, or like, the first update was Jill, and like that's cool. We got a new character, but that was it.
Well, that's it. And I'm in all of these resistance groups, and I'm saying to these guys, this game needs to. The only way this game is going to survive with everything that's out there now is it needs to go crossplay, fucking super quick, and it needs to sort out this dedicated server bollocks because this whole peer-to-peer system where the mastermind's the host is not working. You're always connecting with somebody from fucking Peru or fucking the moon or something, and your connection's always dog shit.
Yeah,
that's what's kept me from. I always joke around about people using their Wi-Fi from the McDonald's next door. But that's the only thing that's kept me from playing it. I loved the tutorials and stuff, and I actually got one match in, right, and I loved it. But then the next match, I was like, oh, let me try Mastermind, and then 30 minutes later, I wasn't in a match.
The big issue with it too is because so few people play it, the people that are playing it are the ones that are grinding a lot on it. So like if you have a character that you play as that is not like rank 30 or higher, you're screwed. You're screwed.
Yeah, learning curve is
all of these masterminds are now like rank 120, rank 150, and like these are real numbers. Like I playing the other day, and I was just like rank 120 Nikolai, and I was just like, I don't want to play this because I know exactly how everything's going to go down. I'm going to try and open a door. The door's going to be locked, and I'm just going to get shot up by an automatic turret.
And the thing that that again I was talking about with these guys. I'm like, Nikolai at the moment is fucking stupidly overpowered. I'm walking in, I'm getting fucking blown away. And the comment I always see is, well, you just need to get good. The point is, I can't get good because I can't get out fucking stage 1 to get fucking blown to pieces.
Yeah, there's get good is only comes to a certain point, right? Like there's a game that I've been loving lately called Hunt Showdown.
Hunt Showdown. I actually played the beta for that.
So good. But my thing with it is the reason I like it so much is because it's kind of got a battle royale element, but it doesn't have the power creep, right? Of like, okay, this person's like level 100, they've unlocked everything. Well, in Hunt, the starter gun can one shot a person, so it's like it's a matter of being good at the game, right? It's a matter of like there's no paying attention.
Yeah, and again, like there's no like it's not like the rank 120, Nikolai or whatever is going to be a lot stronger health wise, but like it's just tough when like they've beefed up their like card system, and you're just like. The other issue too is with a lot of multiplayer games. I've noticed multiplayer games have become very, very much like zero communication. Like a lot of people don't talk to each other. I find myself more in a party of quiet people than I do with people who actually have mics and who are looking to play. So like the day that Andy and I played, we were with 2 people that had mics. And that was kind of our requirement, was like, we need to be vocal. We need to talk about where everything is and what we're doing. And I think that's why we were winning. Unfortunately, when you play this game, it's pretty quiet. Like people are kind of running off on their own and then they die. And then you're like, now I got to go and try and pick you up, and time's running out and there's only a certain amount of time. Like everything needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's quite a set. I was going to talk about this a lot later, but that is quite a seamless transition into, there was a recent update about Resistance, so we could probably talk about that briefly. I do have a video. I do have a video here. Hang on, let me just
let's go ahead and play that.
Here.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
One thing I want to comment on in that trailer is I now have a renewed desire to go and grind this game again. I want that toy sword for one of the weapons, and I need it.
That's why this game could really benefit from the free-to-play model, like you were saying. Is it just cosmetics?
Another big issue with it is it's so grindy to get a cosmetic box just to get one item.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, it's like a voice for a character that you don't.
Get. And you have to spend like 50,000 in-game currency.
Like, I'm just trying to get a costume. I'm just trying to get a costume for January, and I get a like zombie skin for Alex Wesker, and I'm like, I don't even play as the Mastermind.
Right? Yeah.
Like they kept the Survivor Mastermind card stuff separate. Why couldn't they do it with the cosmetics as well?
Right. Yeah.
It does look really cool. I like the prison level. I was thrown off by what the level was going to be. I don't know if you remember that like Road to Resistance picture that they dropped when they announced Chill as the DLC.
Oh yeah, like the under construction thing.
Yeah, the June month was an under construction one, so immediately I went, oh, it's probably a construction site. Like you're going to be in that construction yard area in Raccoon City.
Yeah.
From 3. But I guess the prison works. It's very very Revelations 2 feel.
My immediate first thought, we're going to tie it all back around to Alex again.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see that, because there really wasn't like, it almost makes me wonder where it is location wise, because it can't be in the police station.
No, obviously not. No,
I did think that was the next update, by the way, is the RPD was on the agenda, but apparently not.
I think what they're doing is they're making it very game based. So if we don't get Carlos for the next update, I would almost say the next one's very clearly going to be a character, and I would like Leon or Claire.
I did that with I did that with Operation Raccoon City, didn't they? Where they had heroes,
Yeah.
like Leon, Claire, and all that.
Yeah, but like I do want to see more of the classic characters added in.
Where did that cat come from?
That's Ike. He's a boy.
He's a boy. BOI boy. Yeah, there was definitely a plunger in that trailer, by the way.
Oh yeah, there was a plunger. There was a sword. There was a chicken leg.
Yeah, I think it was was that a corn dog? I think someone had
Corn
one.
dog.
It was.
They showed a couple new costumes. It looks like you can dress up as like a mascot. You know, if you want to be a cow or a chicken or
a furry.
Something, yeah. It's for all you Resident Evil furry fans out there.
So moving swiftly on, something that was discussed and shown at the PlayStation 5 reveal was this new title. It's going to be exclusive PlayStation Studios, brand new IP, and it seems to be a psychological horror a la Silent Hill, kind of mixed in with Aliens and Dead Space. But what we're going to do, we're going to check the trailer out here, and we will get our thoughts afterwards.
Over and over, I relive my first moments on this alien planet. Crash. The attack. My death. The crash. The attack. My death. Trapped in this endless cycle. Even death is no escape. Each time I awake, this planet seems somehow different. Changing. This world is becoming part of me, infecting my mind, my memories. The longer I spend here, the more I can feel my sanity slip away. But I cannot lose hope. My only choice is to keep fighting. To keep looking for answers. My only hope is to break the cycle. Before the cycle breaks me.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, was Returnal, which is anticipated. I do believe it's got a release date of. Did it show it?
Holiday.
Apparently it didn't. I'm sure it's. I'm sure it's just 2021. I'll just leave that on the screen there.
Year.
So yeah, very interesting title. I did get Mad Prometheus vibes from
I got a very Doom meets Evil Within feel from it. Like it's going to be very psychological, but almost like and I say Doom because of just the atmosphere of it, the like kind of space demon-y looking enemies and whatnot. But also
Edge of Tomorrow was one of the first things that came to mind to me too.
Yeah,
I still don't have the chat up. Whoever said that.
The one thing I did pick up from just this whole, and this was what really frustrated me with the reveal, is that there seemed to be a lot of cartoony games, sort of games that appeal to children, that sort of thing. And I felt this is really, aside from Spider-Man and Resident Evil 8, this is one that really piqued my interest. And I can't wait to see more trailers and development into this, because I feel like they've got something really cool here.
100%.
Also, sorry, real quick, two things. One, Oblivion is the Tom Cruise movie that they're mentioning, which is about clones and stuff. And so I guess I could kind of see that. But actually, watching this trailer again, this is the second time now. Just the second time I've watched it, but I couldn't really pay attention before because I was waiting for the Resident Evil. But I almost wonder if it's like a Dark Souls shooter. And I don't want to be like this is like Dark Souls but kind of person. But I mean like the loop of dying and coming back and like some of the level design almost made me think of Dark Souls. Like some of the enemy design, some of the like
I could definitely see that.
I also feel like that was. I don't feel like that was the trailer that was actually shown at the reveal trailer, because I don't know if it's the same as the Resident Evil 8 trailer. There was more in the actual trailer that Capcom released on their YouTube channel than there was in the actual reveal. It wasn't like, I feel like that was a little bit more in depth, but I mean, without going back and really studying it, I couldn't confirm.
Yeah.
Right, but like there's like one point where like there's a canyon in this trailer, and there's a canyon and like this big enemy with like orange, like look like blades almost something on their hands, and like that shot specifically like oozed Bloodborne or Dark Souls to me. So I almost wonder if it's going to be
that's
like,
why I got the very like Doom vibes from it. Like that like kind of weird demon glowing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on top of that, you know, same thing with like the Evil Within, like just the way it plays and the way it looks and the way it sounds like it's going to be. It seems it's going to be very psychological. It seems it's going to be very like trippy, like you're going to be walking through a room and then the next thing you open the door and you're like upside down in another world or something like that. Like it's going to play with your mind a lot in that aspect. Like, how did I get here? Why am I like this? But really cool. Like I always love when these companies, you know, especially for a release game, they want to add something to a genre that like over the last couple of years has slowly made a resurgence. And that's definitely something like the survival horror genre is definitely making a comeback, and it looks like it's going to follow suit into the next generation. You know, with the Resident Evil, with Returnal, with talks of you know, Silent Hill possibly coming back, and even, you know, Ghostwire, you know, Shinji Mikami's next game, which we also did see a trailer for at the PlayStation event.
Yeah, I definitely think we should talk about that at some point too. Yeah. But this Matthew makes a good point. It's like I can see what he's talking about with the Shadow of Colossus thing, because it does seem like rather than being like a bunch of little aliens, it's like big, like this is the one thing right that you're facing right now. You know what I mean? Like, I kind
of got that vibe. Let me pull something up here.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought of Edge of Tomorrow though, because that was my immediate first thought. It was like,
are we thinking of shots like this? Is that what you was?
No, there was. To? So later on, like let it play for a little bit, and I'll tell you when the shot shows up.
As if changing.
That's got some eldritch shit going on there. You're muted again, Andy.
Sorry, this was major fucking first Alien Prometheus vibes. You know, where they first meet the fucking jockey who's sitting in his seat. That's exactly what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
There you go.
This was fucking mad.
Yeah, that's some like Lovecraft shit going on.
That looks like, oh god,
good freeze.
Those things from Half-Life.
The head crabs.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. There was this really obscure. Well, I wouldn't say it's obscure, but it's not as known as Alien or anything like that. It came out a couple of years ago called Life, and it had Ryan Reynolds in it, and it was about how they find like a life form in space. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah,
that's very good. Yeah, yep.
Looking at it, what engine is this in?
I did think that it looks. Let me.
It looks like
you guys talk about this image. I'll quickly find out.
I'm reminded of Devil May Cry, the Qlifoth or whatever it's called.
Oh, the reboot or whatever.
Yeah. No. Devil May Cry 5.
5. Okay.
In 5, the tree, the seeds from that tree, have like these like tentacles going on. The Qlifoth tree or whatever it's called.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Is this the RE engine?
Right. So. Wikipedia, not the greatest source of information, admittedly, but just looking it up, it's registered under the Unreal Engine.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't say which one that is, of course.
Probably
they did just show the trailer for the Unreal Engine 5. I don't know if you guys have actually seen that.
Event Horizon. Fucking what a banger.
They
Major Ellen Ripley vibes.
Oh
yeah.
my god!
Or what was
also-
that character? Shaw from Prometheus.
God,
Big
it was
vibes.
played by oh god, what's her name? Ramona Pot.
The ginger lady.
Yeah.
But a little bit of early storytelling here. Looks like maybe they've gone to another again typical fucking space fucking plot of we're going up to space to steal some resources.
Yeah.
Like, because our fucking planet's been absolutely sucked out of oblivion.
I know something about this kind of is interesting. This is juxtaposed over her saying a line about it like dying and coming back again, messing with their memories. So I almost wonder if this is Earth, like she's like failing to remember Earth correctly. God, I wish I could remember how late in this like picture
Ooh.
is I'm specifically looking for.
Hang on, sorry, I just a freeze frame there. So that's to be the new gun.
Very cool looking gun, by the way.
Missed it again, but yeah, it seems
Kind of
like
reminds me of Dead Space.
Yeah, I could see it. There's
That's
definitely
another
some
one
like
that's giving me a little bit of it's giving me a little bit of Dead Space vibes too.
I'm definitely seeing the evil within now. Oh, that right there, that thing, that is like Dark Souls as shit.
So the reason I say the evil within is just based on like just the environment and like the way it looks like the story is going to unfold seems very much like it's gonna screw with your head a little bit. Like
third person shooter, obviously.
yeah, obviously same thing.
It looks like kind of bullet helly too. Like you get shot at a lot in this game.
Yeah,
It's really colorful as well.
Oh yeah, like for a dark horror
Right.
shooter.
Like they make the environment very grim and dark, but like everything you're shooting is purple and yellow and pink and like
Yeah. And her eyes are two different colors. I don't know if that's important, but
it's like setting off a firework in the void of darkness.
Color seems to be a big thing almost.
Well, I guess you got to kind of take advantage of that, especially with like the new console. This is I would assume I don't know if it's going to be a
First person.
but
That's a good point. I didn't notice that the first time around, but that's definitely a first person segment.
God, the
Interesting
ripping
stuff.
off the
Oh, we got some sort of monolith there. Hang on.
Yeah, I did see that. I didn't even.
Let me just.
I love
that
breaking down
play.
trailers like this because then it's like, what is that? A hand?
Yeah, it looks like it's a statue or something.
Yeah, with like shit hanging off of it almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Look
Fucking
at
hell.
look at that's what I'm saying. It's almost like a bullet hell. Like look how many bullets are in the air at that time. Like holy shit.
Yeah. That is crazy. Colorful. Crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the theme though. You know, you get like a. What's that terminology? It's not noir, but it's like where they deliberately you think of Sin City, where they deliberately turn down effectively crush all of the colors.
Yeah.
To and then it kind of maximizes other colors on screen.
I guess it's technically a type of chroma keying. Dude, look at shit's flying around. Look at the yellow projectiles. Like,
oh, that's a cool looking enemy. Let me just go back on that.
Was that an enemy or was it like a statue? I could. Oh no, that's definitely a creature of some kind. It's like a demon harpy.
Whoa. Have you noticed it's two different colored eyes there?
Yeah, that's what I said that earlier. I said her eyes are even two different colors. Like I almost wonder if there's like something going on with that, or if it's just like because there are people with heterochromia, but it's like a very striking choice. You know what I mean?
Sure. Any last thoughts before we move on from Eternal? Obviously, we've only really just been introduced to it.
Yeah, there's not much I can really say on it. Truthfully, the game does look very promising. As a PlayStation exclusive, I think while especially with the PlayStation, while their specs and everything obviously have been shown to not hold up to the Series X's standards, I think one thing PlayStation for years and years has been very good with is exclusives. So I have high hopes for this. Again, I always love new entries into the survival horror genre, even if it's not survival horror per se, and more just like a psychological horror. Horror games making a big comeback is definitely welcomed. So I'm excited. I mean, the game looks good. Graphically, the colors are being used right, like we said. The enemies look very interesting and unique. So we'll see. I'll definitely, as long as the reviews are good, I will give it a shot.
Yep. I've kind of got a similar vibe. Like, obviously, like you said, we don't have a lot to go on, but I mean, there's definitely one of the standouts of the show for me. Not a lot really jumped out to me from the show, except for the couple things we're going to talk about that are like kind of horror that definitely we obviously had to talk about. Can't just stick with all Resident Evil, but it's definitely one of the standouts for me. Especially like I said, now that I'm thinking about it with like the possible like Dark Souls loop, which I love. I always adored Dark Souls. So this one, Deathloop, Ghostwire, and obviously Resident Evil are kind of like the only big things from the show for me, to be honest. Some of them were cool, but this one was pretty high up on my list once I saw it. So I've got high hopes for it. I'm excited to see more from it.
Yeah, definitely. And I must say, I feel like we never have enough new IPs.
No,
and it's good to see Sony taking a risk. Obviously not Sony, but another studio. But Sony definitely obviously investing, and they've made this exclusive and taking the risk to bring us something new, which is always welcomed. Swiftly moving on. I do want to. This will be our final closing topic, and it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a very, very productive stream. Thank you both for joining us today.
Of course.
I've had a great time.
Yes.
We're a little bit late. We're a little bit late to this. I know exactly what you're going to say, Derek, about a Ghostwire, but
everything about it looks so good. But cut fat, right?
Indeed. It's been very productive.
All I want to say on Ghostwire real quick is Shinji Mikami, I really wish you would have made the Evil Within 3. That's all honestly, I'm going to say.
My quick thing about Ghostwire, since a lot of people who are watching have seen the trailers and stuff, my thing about Ghostwire is I was caught off guard by being first person, honestly. I thought I never for the life of me would have expected to be first person. But everything I saw from it absolutely blew me away. Like there's like some like he seems to be doing like some kind of like magic or something. And there's like a touching
big Bioshock vibes. Big Bioshock.
Yeah. And you'll never hear me complain about Bioshock vibes. Like that's, to me, Bioshock vibes basically is, this is a game I'll play. Like that's like a big stamp on it for me to say, play this. But absolutely everything about it blew me away, and I'm so excited. Like I can't even talk about, like that's why I was so excited to talk about it, but we got to cut and go finish up here soon. But like that, just wanted to get my hype out of the way real quick.
Yeah, sure.
So good.
No worries at all. So we're a little bit late to the chase on this one, because you did write this article back on the 26th of May, but this does go into an overarching topic of Silent Hill. But obviously the big news is Dead by Daylight will be Dead by Daylight is obviously a 4 versus 1 asymmetric multiplayer game. It's known for bringing different and I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not really clued up on Dead by Daylight, but the idea is they have like base survivors, but then they've got DLC and stuff like that of iconic horror characters like Michael Myers, Leatherface, amongst others, and they've also got survivors like I'm forgetting the lady's name from Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis character. I can't remember. Laurie Strode. Thank you.
I was. Fortunately, my girlfriend is a infinite
font.
Of horror movie knowledge. So, you're like an encyclopedia.
Yeah. So the cool thing is that they do a little bit of both. They have some of their own original stuff occasionally, and their own original survivors. Like the last DLC before Silent Hill was, I can't remember what it was called. It was like Neon Samurai or something like that, and it was a Oni character. So it's like a very large Japanese like inspired Oni, and a like cyberpunky biker girl as their survivor. So they actually have a really nice balance of like, this is our little throw in, and this is our own creation, and this being revealed was huge because, well, we'll talk about for one reason but another being the fact that Dead by Daylight's fun. And so a lot of what they're saying is you can pull up the trailer again and just kind of let it play because I'm going to talk a little bit about what I wrote. But like one thing that they said that they really wanted to do is like a lot of the other things, they're just horror, right? So it's like, this is a horror character. They're going to come in and they're going to kill, right? Like that's kind of the general loop of the game. They said that they didn't want to do that for this in this one. So they actually said that the map that they're making, stone, what is it?
The school.
Yeah, it's the middle. It's
Elementary,
the elementary school from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember what it's called. It's
Isn't
like
it like
Stone Creek.
Riverdale or something? I don't know.
No, you're right.
Probably
It's
not
River.
It's
Something.
probably not. Yeah.
It'll say here in a second, right? It'll say at the end there. It has the map.
Right.
Midwich.
Elementary.
Fucking don't know where I got that from then.
Yeah, I was getting like Stone Creek or something. But anyway, yeah, Midwich is from the first game, but they said that they didn't want to do the same thing that they've always been doing, which is literally like, all right, this map is like for Mike Myers, they're like, this is the street, but it's the same gameplay, right? It's the same thing. And then this is like I'm trying to think of another one. Like this is like the butchery from, or the slaughterhouse from Saw, but it's the same thing, right? Like it's
right, like
it is
hide behind the things, don't get
right,
caught.
Yeah. For this one, they said they specifically sat down and they were like, okay, this is Silent Hill. We literally cannot fuck this up, right? Like, so
right.
They are making.
Well, I feel like they have actually, because this, and I'm not I'm not a massive Silent Hill fan, but I do know that the whole Silent Hill thing is based on your own mind, right? So they've got Heather. They've got Heather in this game. I feel like they've got that's Heather, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's Heather.
Who's in Silent Hill 3, but they've got a Silent Hill 2 fucking thought. What the fuck's that about?
So the thing is, you're absolutely correct. Silent Hill. We're off on another topic I absolutely adore, but Silent Hill 2 is absolutely like that because it's a lot of like. Weirdly enough, Silent Hill 1 and 3 are the true sequels to each other, and Silent Hill 2 is completely unrelated except for the town of Silent Hill. But in Silent Hill 2, which is where the executioner being Pyramid Head comes from, he is. I guess we're going to have spoilers for a game that's, oh God, who knows how old. But it's like the general theory, because they never really say, but the general belief is that Pyramid Head is James's belief that he has to, like him beating himself up over trying to move on from his wife while she's dying or whatever, because it's survivor guilt, right? It's basically, that's kind of like the belief. Now, the Dead by Daylight lore, though, makes that possible in a different way, because the Dead by Daylight lore is the killer and the survivor sometimes are from together, but they can be pulled from, like, the survivors are all missing persons. Like, that's the general lore, is that they're missing persons from different time periods, from different places, and like they'll disappear into the mist one day and end up in.
Now I wonder if in the case of Ash Williams, if it was like he's not necessarily a missing person, like he was captured, or if he just got drunk and got lost.
That's right. I forgot Ash is in the game. Yep.
Ash Williams is and it's like, I watched Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and like that's the character that I get now. Like every time I think of Ash Williams, I just think of like drunk Bruce Campbell, like fat drunk Bruce Campbell, like fighting demons. So like they put him in here, and I get it. He fits. He's an iconic character, but it almost makes me want to believe that like he wasn't captured or anything. He just fucking got drunk and got lost and like
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, he's like a DLC character. Someone asked in the chat if he really was. Yeah, Ash is in the game, and it's actually Bruce, isn't it? Doesn't Bruce actually voice him?
Yeah, they use his like face model or whatever.
I think Bruce.
He's apparently one of like the most overpowered like survivors to play as too. I don't know a lot about the game, but I have friends that are very, very into it. Same thing. One of the guys that work with us at Biohazard, Dan. Big Dead by Daylight player. Like,
yeah, I kind of wish we could have had him on just for this bit.
Yeah, but he's in the Upside Down world.
No, that was Stranger Things.
Dan is Stranger Things. Like, Dan's the Demogorgon, which is also in Dead by Daylight, by the way.
Of course, we had to come to this.
Indeed.
I'll
so
talk
obviously,
about that in a second.
So obviously, the overarching, the reason why I did want to bring in the whole Dead by Daylight update was, and it was briefly mentioned. I believe I've got an article here. If you just excuse me a second, where Sony has been working on a Silent Hill reboot for the last 18 months. That's courtesy of pushsquare.com, which was on the 10th of April 2020. And again, to summarize, to paraphrase, it seems like Sony has bought the license, and this hasn't been confirmed. This is all rumors, innuendo. Sony has bought the Silent Hill license, and they're actually doing something with it. So, yeah, Derrick, if you want to fire away, my friend, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I'll say this is something I've been itching to talk about, especially because this is the final screenshot of Silent Hills, which doomed forever, possibly. Because one thing that's kind of like floating around is why Silent Hill? Why would Konami give a shit, right? Because I know that Konami is linked to this one specifically, but probably because they probably own the characters of Heather and of what's his name, Pyramid Head. So people are like, one of the big things is like, why give a shit? Because from what I understand, I want to say
think it was who explained it? I think Dan did. It was like the company that Dead by Daylight works for is the Steam company. It's like this Japanese company that also.
No, it was the people who localize Dead by Daylight to Japan are also the same people
that did it with Silent Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
okay. That's the answer. I think you probably told me that.
No, it was it's probably Dan. I think it was Dan that told
probably
both
Dan.
of us in the group chat.
Dead by Dan.
But like, yes, okay, that's like an easy way to do it, right? Like that gives you the means, but the motive, I guess, in this case, if we're keeping with the like crime terminology, what's the motive? Like, Konami has proven that they're just going to make pachinko machines for the rest of their fucking lives, right? So like,
they've openly said, and this is why
if it makes some money.
Yeah, I mean, they've openly said, and this is why this game got canceled, and why Metal Gear Solid 5 was really the last thing that they worked on. Was they were more focused on working on mobile games. That was kind of their main focus going forward. I don't understand why. I think that's an awful business plan, but I guess, at the time.
Unfortunately, from a business standpoint, it's not. Like people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people play phone games all the time. It's
yeah,
just,
I mean, I drop money occasionally on a phone game.
I can't. I just. I refuse to, because even like these phone games, they can cut the servers off at any time.
That's true. I mean, you're right.
You could spend all this money on a game, and then before you know it, the next day they go, we're done.
Whereas for the PC, like, as we've proven as a community, we refuse to let games die. I mean, Halo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Halo 2 it had to be forcibly shut off, and even then it was just so they could bring it back again.
right. It's just so they could put it on the Master Chief Collection. You look at a game like a little off topic, but Star Wars Jedi Academy. That game came out in 2004, maybe.
Sounds about right.
2003. And the online servers are still going 16 years later, because it's just people still play it. People still go on PC and they still play that game.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of reference something we talk about occasionally, Outbreak. Outbreak has a bunch of a couple fan servers actually on PC.
I'm hoping that, did they talk about backwards compatibility at all at this PlayStation event? Like, was that really something that they touched on at all?
That was two things that I was really, really upset about. And that was the lack of, because obviously it's a big rumor that PS5 is going to have backwards compatibility with, and it hasn't, not stressed what console it is, which console it is backwards compatible with. So it was that one that they didn't mention throughout the reveal, and the price point.
Yeah, the price point I was so upset about, because
so apparently there
was
was some Asian company or something like that had put pre-orders out for the PS5, and they had put a pre-order price at $700. Now, is that the confirmed price for it? No.
That's some collar tugging on that one.
If I really had to guess, I would say $500 or $600. I think that's the fair. That's about
$5 will be surprising.
Yeah, I just, if you put it at $700, you're going to flop.
Yeah,
You're going to, because look at like, and I think Andy was talking about this the other day on stream. He said they tried to do that with the PS3.
Yep.
Didn't they try and put it at like a $500 price point when it first came out? $600.
Yep.
$600 for the PS3.
Yeah, and that's I still to this day insist that that's why they lost that generation of like.
Well, it took them until 2010 to really recover from that. When they launched Slim, that's when it really started picking up.
100%. And I didn't get a PS3 until maybe before a year before it died. I was a big 360 guy for forever, and I never got one. I got a PS3 because brother's coworker was selling one, and I just said, you know what? There's a lot of games on the PS3 that I wanted to play. I think The Last of Us had come out recently, and I was like, that's a game that we really have to play, and I loved it. Yeah. But like same thing, I have a PS4, and like I feel like I never use it. I feel like I play it every so often, but I've always been on my Xbox. I've always been on my computer. Like it's just but that being said, Series X is going to be about $500.
Yeah.
They're actively going to try and be better and better than PlayStation.
Yeah. But at the same time, you think when the PS4 launched, like this is really weird comparison, but think the iPhones, right? We have been conditioned to accept that technology is going up in price. The iPhone went from something like $500-600 brand new. I've got a Galaxy Note. Samsung even wasn't that much. This phone, Galaxy Note 10 Plus, whatever it's called, fucking $1,100 brand new.
Yeah,
we're being conditioned that it's okay to spend more money, and I would not be shocked if the starting price for the PS4, PS5, and the Xbox Series X is hitting that mark. But at the same time, the reasons why I can get away with that is because most phones are on a plan, so that you spread the cost, you never really notice it.
Yeah. Well, my thing is that something that's kind of just always been the case. I guess I want to stay respect to Silent Hill because I'll always talk about Silent Hill. But one of the I do want to talk about this too. This is important. Is consoles, I think, consistently, if I remember correctly, from like, oh gosh, I took classes on computer shit and stuff like that. If I remember correctly, consoles consistently sell at a deficit. I don't think a console has ever, like, especially, and at least not a modern console, sells for exactly the price of its parts, because you usually make it up in subscription. You make it up in controllers, which are not nearly as expensive to make as they're being sold for.
Which is probably why these controllers are all now the cost of a video game.
Yes.
Whereas I feel like you look at, the PS2, whatever, that generation, and like I remember being able to go to GameStop and buy a PS2 controller for $20.
Yeah, yep.
$25.
That's the thing, is like, another thing we also have to think of, though, kind of put ourselves in retrospect. The Atari 2600 sold for $1,100 when adjusted for inflation.
Holy shit!
Yeah, home consoles have come down significantly in price. I want to say that there was a console that was $1,400 when it came out. The 3DO, I want to say, was $900.
Yeah. But that, I remember that being, well, no, obviously I don't remember that, but I remember reading up and seeing that was obviously a massive sticking point for everyone. Was like, well, I could buy a fucking Super Nintendo for fucking $300. Why the fuck would I pay?
Yeah, and that was one of Nintendo's big things. Is Nintendo created the modern console market, because the Nintendo came out and it was affordable and it was full of games for kids, and it was like accessible. It was easy to play. Here's your controller, go. Whereas, like, up until that point, it was like the fucking Commodore, which came with a goddamn keyboard, like a literal keyboard, like, so Nintendo, that was like the big turning point for the console was Nintendo coming out and being like, hey, you want to spend $300 and play some video games, why wouldn't you? I guess to round out what we're saying about Silent Hill, the possibility exists that Silent Hill is coming back, and that's why they've, like you said, there's a rumor that Sony bought it. There's a rumor, there was a rumor that I also wrote about, that Kojima, now being part of Sony, now being under Sony's umbrella, might actually be making a Silent Hill again, which we do know he's gearing up for a horror game.
I did not even think about that.
Yeah, we do know he's gearing up for a horror game.
That would be amazing.
Because
Yes,
it was a PS4 exclusive, wasn't it?
So there's
Yes.
speaking of Kojima, there is also rumors that on top of Silent Hill, Sony did acquire the rights to Metal Gear Solid and Castlevania, which were also both big Konami games.
Yeah.
So it really would give Kojima the opportunity to return to Metal Gear Solid, and unfortunately, he only got so far into 5 before he left Konami, and they kind of took over and finished it in their own way. It really would give him an opportunity to kind of go back and revisit it, and give everyone the story that he wanted to give them in full.
That being said, I kind of hope that they don't force it on him, because from what I understand, ever since 3, I think he wanted to stop. So it was like,
yeah, and they should just have him make every game.
Honestly, I'd be fine with it. Well, that being said, Kojima being under the umbrella of Sony and Konami saying that they're going to stick with mobile games and possibly cleaning house, by doing so, by selling to Sony, hey, I liked Death Stranding, okay? Daryl the Postman, I will play that game probably again someday, but it was such a long game that I can't do it again right now.
The fucking game, Jesus Christ!
It was so good. But to be fair, I kind of went into it expecting a art project that kind of looked like a game. So you know what I mean, but Sony buying these things from Konami isn't unbelievable, because if they're switching to mobile games and pachinko, they've kind of gotten their mileage out of pachinko machines based on their video games. Like, there was a Silent Hill pachinko machine, there was a Metal Gear pachinko machine. I think they made the Gurren Lagann one, which is completely unrelated, but they made a bunch of product placement pachinko machines. I think they're cleaning house, and I think that Sony probably did buy these games. And at the very least, even if it's not by Kojima, I think another Silent Hill is extremely likely. I don't think even if Kojima's making it, I don't know that it'll be the same Silent Hills we saw, because I doubt he's going to be like, hey, Norman, you want to be in another game for me?
Right. And who knows how deep into the lore it's actually going to go of the past games. I could see a lot of these games, it'll have the name Silent Hill, it'll have the name Metal Gear Solid, it'll have the name Castlevania, but the games that we knew, I think they're really going to need to do something different with them. I think they're going to do something different with them. One thing I've heard more specifically with the Castlevania game, if it is happening, was that it was going to be very Souls inspired.
Please.
And
please.
That would, I think, that would be amazing. When you think about it, you think, you play as a Belmont clan member, and this tiny human, going against these massive vampires and werewolves and demons and whatever. That would be the perfect kind of setting, because the Souls type games are becoming very popular. You look at the most recent announced Demon Souls. You look at was the Fallen Order, Star Wars, very Souls inspired. A lot there's that kind of genre is really becoming
Code Vein.
Yeah, exactly. You look at they're really becoming more prominent in modern gaming. This you're a tiny person, and you better learn how to dodge kind of thing.
Right. And I think funnily enough that I feel like that's making Castlevania a Soulsy. Soulsy. Hey, this is nice. A Soulsy is pretty fitting, because I almost feel like Castlevania is what inspired Souls. I mean, I don't know if you've ever played any of the old Castlevanias, but fuck, are they hard.
Yeah, I know.
You're just beating your head against the wall 12 times, and eventually the wall breaks. It's basically the same game. So I almost wondered if that'd be why they did it.
Yeah, I think because if you look at the more modern ones, Lords of Shadow and stuff, it's very hack and slash.
Yeah.
Which while those kinds of games are fun in terms of Castlevania, it's not wildly realistic.
No, Lords of Shadow, I think it was, right? Lord of Shadow
2 or whatever. It was very, very Devil May Cry hack and slash.
It was kind of just a meh.
So I think if they're gonna do a game where you're okay, cool, you're Trevor Belmont, you're Simon Belmont, you're whoever, it's important to really capture the essence of those original games. And I think a good way to do it is to make it very Souls-like.
Yeah.
And I think they should do something similar if they're coming out with a new Silent Hill game. Kind of take what made those earlier games very special and figure out a modern way to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
And Silent Hills was super promising about that. I kind of briefly mentioned it earlier, but Silent Hill is never like Resident Evil hasn't really been super consistent in what it's like, what makes it Silent Hill. Because 1 and 3 were connected through like a cult and like Heather or whatever being the Antichrist or whatever it was supposed to, I guess the Antichrist.
And Origins.
I think Origins is just a
PSP.
remake of the first one, right?
Uh,
Or was that Homecoming?
Homecoming was the Wii one, was the remake of
Yeah.
the first one. Origins was the one I think he plays. The guy's name is Trevor. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was like a truck driver.
I don't know that I played that one.
So he was a truck driver that showed up to Silent Hill. I think it was around the time that the like events before the first game happened. So with like Alessia and the cult and the like, he showed up around then.
Yeah.
So that game was also kind of connected to those ones in a way.
Yeah.
But
then there's ones like 2 where 2 like Silent Hill isn't even like a real place by the end of it. Like
Glorious. Sorry.
I like that. That my goddamn face. I always love it. Like my face in this picture is hilarious. Just shocked. I look so shocked.
They've actually made me to size as well, which is glorious.
they've made me to size. I look exactly like that.
But 2, I want to say that Silent Hill wasn't even like a real place. It was like a almost like a eldritch location, and like your brain like projects into it basically. And then in 4, it doesn't even take place in Silent Hill. 4 is like this like weird like first person. There's very much like Silent Hills. It was like first person when you're in the room. It's Silent Hill. Yeah. It was first person in the room. You would crawl through a hole and you'd be in a completely different place. Never was in the town of Silent Hill. It was like a prison. It was a farm. It was a lot of different things. So I feel like if they're gonna take Silent Hill, they should use that breathing room that's kind of built into it. And like that's why like Silent Hills looked like it was inspired by The Room, which was like not the best Silent Hill, but also the most I guess daring of the Silent Hills, because 2 played the exact same as the rest.
Because the ones that came after that very much followed suit in like, oh, you're in Silent Hill, you're in this personal hell. It's a third person, solve the puzzle.
Yeah, and I mean I loved Downpour. A lot of them were American made for some. I think it was because like Konami doing their thing weren't really invested anymore, so they kind of shopped it out. But But I mean, Downpour was good, but you're right. It was just you're in the spooky town, it does the thing, right? But like 4 was like you're warping to different locations and you're in this room that seems to be like somewhere, but you can't really figure out why.
To my understanding, it's one of the most well liked as well.
Yeah,
4 is
the things about 4 that are unliked don't outweigh the things about it that are really interesting. Like that was what I was saying is like 4 was like.
I think 2 seems to be everyone's favorite.
2 is the most. I say 2 is just the most consistently like this is a good story. This is a good game. It's the like boiled down Silent Hill experience from like 1, 2, and 3. 2 is the most like perfect, I guess you could say. But 4 was so wacky. Like it was so different. Like it was like so out of left field. It took risks, and like I think that's kind of what. That seemed like what Kojima was taking more than anything, especially by making PT first person the entire time and it being stuck in the same room over and over again. But then to reveal that Norman Reedus is in the fucking game, so it's got to be third person eventually, or you're just playing as Norman Reedus's face attached like on a mask, like you're just like this, you're wearing a Norman Reedus mask like the end of Deadpool where he's got the Hugh Jackman stapled to his face, and that's all you're doing. And so.
Plot twist.
Yeah, I was Norman Reedus all along. But like, I think that he was going to go for something more like 4. And if they're going to go forward with Silent Hill, you're right. 100% right, Nick. They gotta go big. Like they gotta completely reinvent it, basically.
So moving to our last port of call here, just a brief Q&A, just shooting the shit for say 10 or so minutes, answering everybody's questions that are in the chat.
We got a nice 3-hour stream out of this. I like it.
Yeah, man, I didn't realize it was it's one of them. It's one of them. There's so much to talk about, so little time. So if I go to roughly where the top is, so Abby says, speaking of Last of Us, are you going to continue streaming it? Yeah, at some point, definitely, Abby, I'll be continuing with The Last of Us. So Stephen says, what is your favorite Resident Evil game? So if I start off first, my favorite Resident Evil game, it will never change. It will always be Resident Evil 2, 1999 for the original PlayStation. Something about it is aside from the nostalgia trip, it was the game I watched my parents play. It's the game I always go back to. It's the absolute best game of the bunch. But what about you? What about yourselves, guys?
I'm going to go ahead and say Resident Evil 3 was probably my favorite. I have a little bit of not the remake, the original.
2001. Yeah.
It was my first Resident Evil game that I had ever played by myself, and I'll always have a very fond memory of being about 8 years old and getting up into the point right before Nemesis jumps through the window in the police station and turning the PlayStation off. I was absolutely, as an 8-year-old, terrified of him. I never wanted to fight him. I did watch my brother play that game front to back. So I knew it happened, but I just never wanted. It took me a very long time to finally sit down and fight him on my own. And then when I went, oh my god, I can do it, I played the game. But very fond memories of doing that.
Okay. Oh man, I feel like I'm once again being that guy. 4 is where I really got into the series. I had to backtrack to other ones. But I'd probably say, weirdly enough, I'd say 5 is my favorite, just as far as a game goes, because the amount of time I've spent playing with a buddy and just having an absolute blast playing Resident Evil 5, it's tough to compare. I think I'd probably put, other than maybe 4, where I've had to go through the whole plot multiple times, to get professional and stuff. I've probably spent the most time in 5. I love 7. I love 2. All of them are fantastic. I just feel if we're talking favorite, I have to go with 5 because I've put so much time in it. Mercenaries is great. It's just there's nothing about it that I can really complain about.
Fun fact: I was in that Mercenaries mode when they did the re-release on Xbox. I was in the top 3% of Mercenaries for quite a while in that game.
Hell yeah!
I used to I had it down to a T in that game. I also have a big appreciation for 5 as well, because I've met a lot of other Resident Evil fans playing that game, especially when I was younger. And some of them I'm still friends with to this day. We're talking 10, 11 years later, and I still play with the same guys on Xbox consistently. So it's cool because that game really brought me a lot of friends that I never thought I would have.
Yeah. Alrighty. What else did we have? Why did you think RE8 was not getting revealed at 12? And when it was, what was your first thought? Hey, Andy, you're muted.
Sorry. Because there was going to be a major announcement, which turned out to be a complete false fucking thing about the ambassador program. People thought it was going to be a Resident Evil announcement, and obviously that closed that one out. And I'd never really thought it was going to be the 12th. And when it was, what was your first thought?
we saw your first thought live in color.
Yeah, man. I'm just to let me see if I can pull that up here.
Oh god, I love that video. I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times.
Pure emotion. Do you know what? I missed the part straight afterwards where Jesse's like, "Yes, I was right."
One of my favorite parts about that video, though, is how quickly you guys go from pure elation to pure shock as Chris just blows someone away in front of your very eyes.
Yeah, let me see. Right, so that's turned up. I don't know how blurry this is going to be. Hang on.
Here we go. The boys.
It looks like the RE engine. It really looks like the RE engine.
Well, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I want to play it.
The werewolf. Oh my god, it is!
The fucking...
It has to be! Oh my god! What the fucking god!
Yeah. And that is how you go out, ladies and gentlemen. There is fucking Chris Redfield.
Oh!
Your guys' faces where you're both just like,
Oh,
whoa, what just happened?
yeah, that was. I mean, what about yourselves, guys? What was you? What was you?
I didn't, like you said, like I was hoping, like against hope, that it was going to get revealed, but because of they got us. They really got us, because like I feel like they intentionally were like, we're going to announce the ambassador program right before we reveal our next game, right? Like that has to have been on purpose, because like when they were like, yeah, we have big announcements coming soon around the 10th ish, and then it was the ambassador program. I was like, well, fuck, I guess, and then I guess we'll have to wait. And then that trailer like just blew me away, and like I just can't believe, like I can't even talk about how excited I am. Like it's my first impressions on this game are like I can't possibly get like this.
Oh no, it is absolutely fantastic. What about yourself? Nick? What was your immediate thought after the trailer dropped?
Like I said before, every time I watch these trailers and like you can, my girlfriend can probably, who's sitting over here, can probably confirm. I think I watched that trailer about 5 times that day. Mm-hmm. And every time I would put it on, she would just go, "You're putting it on again?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have to." it's just this like this need to want to see more. And like I have to watch it over and over and over, because I love coming up with these theories in my head, and I love like one of my favorite things about these games is like thinking what's going to happen, and then playing the game and going, holy shit, that's not what I expected.
Yeah, they've gotten really good at that now too.
They've gotten really good at that. Especially with these remakes too, because you play the remakes and like while you know the general story of what's happening, you play the original games, there's a lot of shit that they do different, and it's a lot of what did they do different? I'm guessing what they did different, or what's going to happen at certain points. Like, had you like I never would have guessed that the Carlos section was going to be the RPD. Like,
yeah,
I never would have guessed that. But like, it's such a like you watch the trailer and you're like, who's that character? What does that thing mean? And I don't even think we really talked about it much, but the one image that they had openly said, and I don't know if you have it, Andy, if you could pull it up, but the one image of the like fetus looking thing with the feathers and all that, and they were like, this image is it's giving away a lot, and we kind of thought about not even showing it.
Yeah, they talk about how much they were worried it was giving away, and like,
let me see if I can pull that out while you
guys. Both Nick and I, like when we started talking about this pre-stream, we're like, giving away what?
Right. What are you giving away? Like I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't know what that is. My only guess is like it has something to do with, a child,
like the E-type thing.
Yeah, whether it's the E-type like fetus that they use, or if it's like something to do with Ethan's child, because there was a baby in the trailer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that I just realized that symbol is also on that other one. Yeah.
Right. And like
it's like a recurring like 4 crow's wings like around a fetus, right? Like
it's the umbrella logo.
That's what someone was saying, that it's like a reimagined umbrella logo, and I'm curious. I wonder if that's it, but like that doesn't give away anything. If that was what they were worried about, the umbrella logo is in the fucking trailer, like the actual logo, right? Like,
what about it with the umbrella logo?
Let me. Funny enough, somebody was talking about it in our Facebook Messenger. So I'm just about to pull it up here.
To answer this like Q&A question, that's kind of like just like for fun. A PT demo containing PS4, to me would be worth at least like $500 because that's like.
I would say even more than that. I would say probably about $1,000.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm curious. I'm almost curious. I'm gonna check eBay.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean that's PT was strong, even for like the 15-minute experience.
Right, and you can't get it anymore. It's like, remember when they had when Flappy when was it Flappy Bird? Yeah, Flappy Bird came out, and then about a week, like everyone loved Flappy Bird. Everyone was like Flappy Bird, and then a month later or something like that, they took it off the marketplace, and then all of these iPhones that had Flappy Bird installed now became worth like thousands of dollars because you couldn't get this app anymore that everyone was still playing.
And I mean, I would play PT hours upon hours just in its iteration, you know?
Right. So just going on eBay, there's a PS4 Last of Us Remastered Edition 500 gig with PT. It's going for $890 or best offer.
So I'm actually on the UK. I'm on the UK
eBay.
That's why it's an old address. I was going to say immediately dox myself then. Fortunately, that's a really old address. But yeah, so original 4 terabyte PT is £400, £700.
Those are the only two.
Yeah, look at that.
That
was when they first come out, I remember.
Yeah, people have probably been buying them. I mean, I get it.
Now, what's the exchange to American currency for that?
I believe it's 1.2. So, but
be like about 500 for the first one, and then like 830 something for the second one. I think.
Yes, it's 1.2. So just add 20. So $440.
Okay.
Sorry, $480. That's 10%. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean I get it. Like I said, like I would probably not personally buy it unless I just had money to fucking burn. But like, if I had money to burn, you bet your ass I'd buy it because PT was fucking amazing.
Just to update you, sorry, Stephen. I know we're talking about something quite niche, but PT was the code name given to the Silent Hills demo, which is now a cancelled game. It had Norman Reedus, and it was directed by Hideo Kojima, and had involvement from I can't remember how to say his name.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro, who is
the biggest loss of fucking Silent Hills going down is Junji Ito, like the king of Japanese horror, was going to make monster designs for it.
Uzumaki.
Yeah, he's like Uzumaki. He's done the Enigma at Amagakure Fault. He's like the biggest in horror.
And obviously, the big thing, the reason why these consoles are so expensive was when Silent Hills was cancelled, they took the demo off PlayStation Network. So all consoles that had PT, they called it PT because the idea is you downloaded PT, you play through PT, and then it had the reveal of Silent Hills at the end. So
yeah, it was a playable teaser, was what PT stood for.
And then from that, it just rolled out of control and people just started. There was a way originally that you could change your DNS settings to still download it, which completely killed this market. But then I think they patched that in the end.
Yeah, actually, I had heard that there were patches that some systems even got it taken off of them.
Oh, right.
I don't like.
Yeah, I think there was probably eventually an online patch that wouldn't allow you to play it anymore.
Yeah, it probably didn't take it off necessarily. It was probably still in your files, but it probably was like almost like a dome, right? Like
right. Like you try and get on, and it's like this.
It was a mad, crazy story because somebody, some indie game designer, actually remade PT on the Unreal Engine, and he immediately got fucking cease and desist.
Well, I mean, of course it did, which is hilarious because like you're not going to make anything with it. Just let someone else fucking make the game.
That's kind of how Daymare started. Daymare, if you guys remember, was originally a fan-made Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah, and do you know what? Just for you, keep doing your thing now. I'm actually going to bring up the because I believe they've still got this the Resident Evil 2 remake in Vadia Studios.
Yeah. So it was originally a fan-made Resident Evil 2 remake that you know, the company that made Daymare was going to put out. And I think normally Capcom wouldn't care, but because they were coming out with their own version and they knew they were doing it, they you know, they had to put a stop to it.
Right.
So that's why they kind of took a lot of assets from this remake and put it into Daymare, which is why Daymare has a very Resident Evil vibe to it and a lot of here we go.
Fucking unreal. This was Invader Studios who eventually went on to make Daymare.
Yeah.
And it
I
was
think using a lot of the framework they've laid for this actually.
And they did end up getting credited in the end of Resident Evil 2 remake. So
did they? I did not see that.
Yeah. So if you go to the credits of Resident Evil 2 remake, Invader Studios are actually in it. They had an involvement in it of some kind. And then obviously they ended up making their own. But this come out before Resident Evil 2 remake. You can see why Capcom cease and desisted it, because they were about to bring out the fucking mother load of remakes.
Yeah.
And somebody went and put it out there for free. So
yeah.
Fuming.
I would have loved to see a version of this though.
Yeah.
You know,
like with the original game, like it perfectly remade, I guess you could say, like a 1-to-1.
Yeah, I mean, like, or just this version. Like, I would love a build of this game, like a version of it.
Honestly, looking at it though, it looks like early build version of just the RE2 remake.
It's very well done, man. Very fucking well done.
Invader blows me away because, like, I was playing Daymare, and yeah, it's rough around the edges, but it's an indie game, and damn, it's amazing for an indie game. Like, it's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're talking about a studios where English isn't their mother tongue, so the voice acting can leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I want to say there's only not even probably 30 people in the studio too, right? Like, I want to say Invader is like some like below 20 even people in their studio, right? I want to say that they're pretty small, and I think they're like one of the biggest Italian developers right now is Invader Studios.
And I think you wrote an article about this.
Yeah, they released this game for free in Italy. Yep, that was what the article was about. Was during COVID and everything like that, they actually released the Daymare for free.
Fucking interesting, man.
And from what I've heard, like from our limited engagement with them, I know Jesse's usually like our touching point with other studios, but apparently they're great people. He's like had great interactions with them. I want to say they even gave us a free copy for the like Resident Evil, like the Biohazard Declassified PlayStation account. I think they gave us like a review copy.
Well, I think it was for the. Well, it was meant to be for the Steam account that me and Jesse share, but it turns out he put it on his own fucking profile. The cock.
Of course he did.
The one person in the group that doesn't fucking stream ever takes the one game that would give us any kind of like people would have watched us play that. They would have gone, oh my god, you know, and
Bailey.
Your dog is not happy.
No, I've been on a podcast for the last 3 hours, and he probably has to go to the bathroom.
Well, we have one more question than the answer. Do you think now more than ever we're getting a smaller group of game types like Soulsborne, RE, etc., or I feel like yes and no. I feel like the certain genres are kind of getting like not funneled, but like what is it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Perfected, like
compartmentalized.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah, like genres are becoming better at their genre. I guess if that makes sense. Like shooters are kind of funneling down, and unfortunately, like with anything, I guess like a good analogy is what me and my friend always talk about when we talk about like military history and tech. We talk about tanks, and we talk about how the tanks back in World War II were like wildly different. But now all tanks look the same. But that's because one thing is working. Like everything kind of funnels down into like this is the best model. And so like I think that unfortunately a lot of genres are gonna become like kind of stagnant and like become the same thing over and over again. First person shooters are already struggling through that, which is why first person, like that's why games like BioShock are such a big deal, is because they say they change it. It's first person shooter game kind of, but there's horror, like, right, you know, it's like a whole story. I think that's something that's just gonna naturally happen as like, oh, people really love this kind of game, so we're gonna make more of that. You know what I mean? It's just part of the problem with business and stuff, I guess. But I also think that there's, with like new technology and stuff, we're getting things that we were never going to get before. Like space sims have taken off recently, like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky. Sorry, my roommate was signaling me for something.
No, that's right, because the PS5 reveal trailers were full of space simulators. Fuck me.
Yeah,
the big thing was space.
That was one thing you actually, I remember you specifically bringing up, and I said you're right, because there's like even Returnal space game.
Yeah,
as cool as it looks, it's very, very space. There was a lot of indie games that had to do with space.
Yeah, I think a good reason that we like Returnal is because it's horror, right? That's what Drew was saying, but it's still, like you said, a space game.
Right, and like we've seen horror space game already,
So. Unfortunately, you do eventually run out of things to do, and like that's kind of why I've been like into Lovecraft so much recently too, is because I've been like kind of like digging in like in the weeds, basically like trying to find something new. And like Lovecraft games are generally like few and far between, but like I mean like Call of Cthulhu for like the newest consoles it's a great game. It's a really good horror game. It's like RPG elements. It's really out there. And then like The Sinking City was actually a pretty well received game. It's like kind of Lovecrafty. I think that's why we're seeing a lot of those come back, though. I mean, Lovecraft is obviously my current kick, but like there's a Color Out of Space movie that came out last year. Like Color Out of Space is like 1920s Lovecraft story, and like I feel like people are like one of my friends made a joke that Lovecraft is the new zombies, and I don't think it's quite to that point yet, but like I think that the reason we go in cycles like this is because we run things out and then we gotta try and find something else. So now Lovecraft games like cosmic horror is coming back. You're seeing a lot of first-person horror, which is why Resident Evil switched over to first-person horror. I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, shooters are always going to be there, but you're seeing a lot of different, like Deathloop. Deathloop is like, what if we did shooters differently? Like we still haven't seen gameplay of it, but no, that's wrong. We have seen gameplay of Deathloop
briefly. Yeah, very briefly.
Very brief.
And like I am over the moon for Deathloop because it's by the same people who made Dishonored, and I always loved Dishonored. It did
give me Dishonored vibes actually.
Yeah, it looks like it's like made with like the same core like gameplay loop as Dishonored, but it's got like instead of it being like dark eldritch powers like Dishonored was, it's now like time powers and shit like that. But I do think that unfortunately we do narrow down to a lot of genres. I guess we ended on a really like we could go a long ways with this topic. You know what I mean? But like just in general, unfortunately, you are going to slowly get like pockets of like this is what works for this and this is what works for this. Souls types thankfully have a lot of mileage because there's a lot you can do with it. Like I mean, there's the Surge is like a weird like techno like diesel looking like Soulsy. There's Code Vein, which is just anime Souls. I'm trying to think of a couple other ones that are pretty popular recently.
I mean, Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. You're right. Yeah, Fallen Order was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly great, actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, especially because
Star Wars has needed a good game for a very long time.
I like Battlefront 2, but it's definitely not a great game.
No, it's the idea of bringing Battlefront back was cool, but just the way that it's been handled, EA is just kind of flopped on it. But
yeah, that's what was I going to say? I mean, it was from a studio that had no reason to know what they were doing with that.
Yeah.
Respawn. It was Respawn who did Titanfall, like they're a shooter company. They're made by the two original creators of Call of Duty, and then they're like, yeah, we're just gonna fuck around and make one of the greatest Souls ever, like
Respawn's been doing a very good job with their games too.
Oh yeah. Titanfall 2 was underrated.
Titanfall 2, Apex Legends.
Apex
I
is like,
forgot about that.
Probably one of the best battle royale games I've played.
Oh yeah, yeah. I list kind of Hunt Showdown as that, but that's another one. Hunt Showdown's by Crytek, and that's a completely weird out of the blue kind of game genre. It's like, what if we battle royale a little bit, but there's only 12 people in a map, and like, what if it's like PvE and you're all hunting down like some creature abomination thing?
Yeah, I gotta give that game a shot. I think they put it on Game Pass, and I played the beta for it. but I gotta give it a shot.
I know that they have like the first 5 levels kind of thing going on. I think on Xbox at the very least. I think that's what made my friend buy. Is he played through like half of the tutorial or whatever, and was like, I'm already going to buy this game. But I mean, yeah, that's thankfully now I think more than ever, companies are able to take more risks because I mean, Resident Evil alone, like people were thinking Resident Evil was stagnant, and then it did 4, and then that kind of got stagnant, and then they did 7, but they've also had the remakes to mix it up. I think that even big companies now are realizing that they can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I think going forward, I think that funneling down into tiny genres is going to stop pretty quickly because, I mean, I'm trying to think of a couple other ones. Obviously, Star Wars, a Dark Souls Star Wars IP is not something no one expected, but it's definitely going to get a sequel if you played it. I don't know if anyone in the chat beat it. Did you ever beat it, Nick? Or
I haven't actually. I've been.
Okay.
I don't even own it. I've been meaning to play it. It's just
things to do.
Oh yeah, I totally get it. But it's not too much of a spoiler, but it's definitely going to get a sequel. And then I'm trying to think of. There's some other stuff that's just been weird. People are doing something different all over. I mean, Battle Royale kind of started because of that. Because Epic Games got done making Gears of War and was like, what if we just decided to completely change the face of gaming? And I don't even like Fortnite, but I did. We made it
because PUBG and Fortnite came out really around the same time.
Oh yeah, the genre exploded.
PUBG was really the one to kind of start it.
Mm.
Fortnite was very much the better game at the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
but Fortnite just utilized everything better. It was more optimized. It was on a better engine. It hit cross-platform earlier. It just did everything that PUBG should have fucking done, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, Remnant Out of Ashes or Remnant of the Ashes. I want to say it's like a shooter Dark Souls, if I remember correctly, and people adore it, from what I understand. I haven't got the chance to play it yet.
Yeah, actually, I did play it a little bit. It is really cool.
Yeah, and so we're getting a lot of cross genre shit. I mean, the guy who made one of the guys who made Halo made his own studio, V1 Interactive, and a game coming out actually next week called Disintegration. And it's like a RTS shooter. It's your main guy's on a grav bike, but he can do shooting from there. But he also has a squad to control. And a lot of I think we're going to see a lot of that of now more and more now, especially with all the stuff under the hood for computers and stuff. We're going to see a lot of people trying completely different things to try and mix it up, because even developers know that it's getting boring. They know that they're making the same games over and over again.
All right.
And with that being said, obviously I'm it's gone a little longer than I thought it would. But I am
I also didn't mean to rant so much. I feel I took over too much, but
no troubles whatsoever. But I'm very grateful for you two inputting. This definitely needs to be a regular thing whenever news comes up and that sort of thing. I think this is a very, very cool setup we got here. So we will we'll leave it there for today, guys. Thank you all so much for listening in wherever you're listening. Obviously, the Biohazard Declassified podcast is exclusively to our Patreon and fan supporters on Facebook before eventually getting sent out to other podcast streaming platforms such as Spotify and Google Play. But for now, thank you so much. Take it easy, guys.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Tune in next time and stay handsome.
Yep, it was nice to meet all you guys, and I'm excited for the next one. This was way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Indeed. All the best.